Hello and welcome one and all to the town of Belhaim. Performing today is none other, for your hearing pleasures, none other than Fitzbottom Wondersmith. Delightful. So, welcome. This is, I call this one the town of Belhaim. Is this song? Here we are. I say, welcome to the town of Belhaim, and here we see the dragonslayers come. Oi! Oi! Fitzbottom! What the hell are you doing? I've warned you about singing in the street. Oh, I'm just sitting here performing for our new guest. I told you to stop performing. You don't got a license, which means you can't perform out in the street. Well, I just was saying that it's a free country. It's not a free country. We got a bloody emperor. What are you talking about, a free country? You stop your singing. Oh dear. Oh my.
But they're all goods.
All right.
You just need to have the eye.
All right, and welcome everyone to session 1 of Dragon's Demand. I've just spent the last 40 minutes hanging out with these fine gentlemen, and I'm nervous about what's going to happen. This might turn into a Cyberpunk Red RPG at some point. I don't know. It's possible. There was some discussion, but enough out of me. We're going to go around the table. We're going to have everyone introduce themselves, and we're going to go Blau, Zeb, Matthew, Atomic, Aaron. Just introduce yourself, let us know what character you're playing, and then we will dive into our opening scene of Dragon's Demand. So, Blau, take it away.
Hi there, I'm Blau. I'm playing Epius Adrashan, the human wizard who is very, I guess above his own head.
I like that. I like that. Zeb.
Hi, I'm Zeb. I'm playing Gris Hrutson. I am a ranger huntsman who is only recently realizing that the world is not black and white. It is not one thing to another. There's a lot of other stuff.
I like that. I like that. Matthew.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew. I am playing the half-elven cleric Lucas Illica, who worships Milani and is struggling to control some of his anger issues while maintaining a facade of calm and poise.
So, you playing yourself?
Yes, yes.
I love that.
Well done.
I love that. It's brilliant. Atomic.
Hey, you go with what you know.
I'm Atomic. I'm playing Calgadir, human blood rager. Calgadir will smash and chop and defeat anything and then piss in its skull.
Wow, it's aggressive. I like it, but it's aggressive. And Aaron.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Aaron. I'm playing Rikus Vol, the half-orc fighter, hailing from the sleepy little town of Caldeman in Andran.
Excellent. Excellent. Of course, I am Darewolf, the Game Master. If you're watching this stream, you should know who I am, because I do a lot of talking and run a lot of streams. But, with that being said, we open our scene along the edge of the Verduran Fork River, and we see a tiny little, what looks like a little creature, just kind of nibbling its way along the shore. It looks like maybe some sort of freshwater otter, and it's just kind of like nibbling on some grass, and it's just having its time of its life. And as we watch this little otter get closer and closer and closer to the shoreline, we see in the grass, in the tall grass, we see these two yellow-looking eyes. As the little otter is just like on its back, and it's got a little like food, and it's eating some seaweed. We watch as this hungry and angry-looking wolf lunges into the shallow water, chomping down on the otter, and all we hear is a horrific squeak. And as we see that scene play out, we then pivot over across the river. As we pivot across the river, we go into a small but well-appointed tavern. It is the largest, which isn't saying much, tavern in the town of Belhaim. We find ourselves in the town of Belhaim, which is a small town in the Verdun Forest, which is located in Teldor. It is a land or a kingdom that used to span the entirety, pretty much the entirety of Glorian. It was everyone that speaks Common, you actually speak Teldor. That is what this kingdom was. But after years and years, hundreds of years of infighting and this prince and that prince and this, it's fallen into just internal squabbling and is now just a tiny little kingdom with 100 different warring nobles that are all arguing with each other in the parliament about who's the true emperor. But the town of Belhaim was formed by a famous dragon slayer from way back a couple hundred years ago, when there was this plague of about no less than a dozen dragons that were plaguing the land. And a famous dragon slayer formed this town after defeating one of those dragons. But as we go into this tiny tavern sitting at a long wooden table, think a Viking-esque style table, we see all of you. We see all of you sitting there, and each of you has a small bowl of bread, little bread in it. There's a little bit of honey in the bowl as well, and then you have some very watered down mead. And this mead has been given to you by none other than the tavern owner. She is a young woman by the name of Talia Orem. And at first glance, you would look at her and you would think, that looks like a child. But no, she's an adult. She's 18. And she has been running this tavern for the last 4 years. And she was actually about 14 years old. It was inherited by her family. And she's a well-respected member of the community, a well-respected member of the town's council, as it were. And as all of you are sitting down at this table, you have, as I discussed, you've recently arrived in town. And you were supposed to be paid by a gentleman by the name of Silas. But earlier this morning, when you arrived in town, he was promptly arrested as soon as you arrived by the town's authorities and was carted off to the capital for tax evasion and other such malicious and terrible activities. So as we zoom in here on this scene, we see you all sitting there munching on your bread and honey and drinking your watered down mead. Talia looks over to you all and kind of has this almost motherly look on her face, and she says, I know it's not much, but I can't help but feel for your predicament. I can understand going unpaid for a, many weeks' journey. How long did it take you to arrive here?
Well, I came all the way from... God, I'm fucked now. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I understand. Your mind must be spinning. I mean, you arrive thinking that one thing is to happen, and then you find yourselves all but stranded in a small, but I must say rather quaint village.
Yes, I should have removed that man's kneecaps. Kept them. Maybe as shoulder guards. No, wait, they'd be too small. Codpiece, perhaps.
A horrified look appears on her face at the mention of kneecapping this man, and she takes a noticeable and visible step away from Calgir. Calgir?
Oh,
Am I saying
he's-
that right?
Algadir.
Calgir.
He just gives her a wink. Like a wink and like a very cheeky smile. Like
He's kidding.
he's talking about her. Like it's very obvious he's talking about her.
I'm sorry. Where is he from? I'm not familiar with that type of humor.
Somewhere in the mountains, even I know not where. I found that poor son of a bitch in some burnt out town. It come under, what was a giant attack or some such. And he offered me a job, but I've been with him for some number of weeks. And yes, I wish to cause him great bodily harm. The soup is delicious, by the way.
Well, thank you. Chef has done it. You were
Could-
saying?
It was much better to be paid for traveling rather than paying to do it. Though,
Didn't even get to fight anything on the way. What kind of guard job over a caravan? I didn't even get to kill anyone.
Simple.
The good kind.
Yeah,
would have
speak
to
for
agree.
yourself. He just looks dejected. Like he's just like his shoulders in. He's like, man, I'm gonna kill somebody.
He's had a long ride. He's
Are
had a
you
long
all
ride.
previously acquainted prior to your journey, or had you just been thrown together? I hope I'm not intruding. It's just we don't get many travelers other than the occasional merchant or the occasional, mostly merchants traveling through Belhaim, not to Belhaim. So you seem like a bit of an eclectic bunch, and you get the impression, and I'm actually going to have everyone make their first roll of the game, and if someone wants to use a +5 that chat had given you, you may do so, but you're going to roll a sense motive check, which should be on your skill sheet. You can make this
God.
check untrained. 23, Matthew. 20.
He's gonna probably roll a d20, Zeb, because I don't think you have sense motive.
That is
I don't
fantastic.
either. I have a 1. 17, but he'll just respond as like, these people? No. What is this? This man casts spells. I have a thigh thicker than his entire torso.
Probably do. Eppius is a grand total of 5'4" and 140 pounds.
Calgadir is 6'7" and 275 pounds of well-chiseled muscle and scar tissue.
Lucas, you've been sitting maybe near the edge of the table, and I'd like to know from you, Lucas, what is your expression? So you've mentioned that your character is in some ways trying to contain his frustration and rage at times. How is Lucas feeling in this moment? So although you may be trying to give off the impression of calm, cool, and collected, you've just been screwed over. So what is the expression on his face in this moment?
He's actually actively trying to master his expression. He is buried in the light of hope, which is the religious text for Milani, the goddess that he worships, and he is sort of reciting in his mind a series of songs. But you can see, or hymns. You can see that little creases of frustration forming around his eye, and he reaches out for a small mug that contains tea that he has brewed for himself from his own supplies, and just downs that.
Very nice. You pick up in this moment, you're reading this religious text, engrossed in it, but out of the corner of your right eye, she is standing, not, leaning in. She steps slightly away from Kal. She's a little bit closer to Rinkus, but she is looking past everyone at you with a kind of, it's more than interest, and you're not sure what it is, but there is this almost a look of familiarity and a kind of like she remembers you, like you look familiar to her and you can't quite place it. You've never seen her before as far as you can tell, but I'd like you to go ahead, and just you, Lucas, I'd like you to make a quick perception check. Now, to describe this girl, as you can see in her picture, she has this very, very blonde, golden-like hair, and she wears it very tight to the side of her head to where you cannot see her ears. And as you look at her, you notice there, Lucas, with that, she kind of goes to brush one of her locks behind her ear, and you think in this moment, you think you see a slightly pointed, slightly tipped ear, but she quickly just, fixes her hair so that's where it is, and just continues the conversation. I'll let you sit with that information, but she seems intrigued by you in this moment. But she turns to Aaron, she turns to Rickus and says, is there anything else that I can get for you all? I know, again, it is not much, but again, it's nice to have new faces in town. I tend to only get the same faces every evening and day and week.
Generosity is appreciated, of course. But I was wondering, how much would it cost to get one of your better meals?
She gets a look on her face. Rikus. She gets a look on her face, Rikus, that she goes from being this soft-spoken, caring sort of individual to almost this shrewd woman expression, like in the split second. And she says, well, I mean, I can't give things away for free, but for a kind traveling adventuring group such as yourself, I'm sure we could make a deal of some kind. Our finest meal would be the roast duck, and it goes for a paltry 5 copper.
Would everybody like some roast duck on me?
You will never turn down the offer of meat. And if you could spare some additional ale, I will kindly chop all the firewood you need.
It's incredibly generous of you. Why?
And she, once again, that shrewd businesswoman expression fades away, and it's this, there's a little bit of redness that flushes into her face. And she once again looks at Lucas and says, I just understand what it's like to be, well, a bit down on your luck. That's all.
Well, if I may, I believe he was addressing that question to me.
Oh,
I was actually addressing it to both of you. It's generous of you to offer it at such a low price, and Rickus to offer to pay it.
Well, why wouldn't I?
He's not an asshole, you see.
Well, coming from Cantargo, that's a rarity for me, but it's nonetheless appreciated.
Well, Eras still teaches us that generosity in times of trouble are their own reward.
So all of a sudden, Calgadir slams his hand on the tables. I remember the Five Kings Mountains. That's where I'm from.
I grew up just south of there.
You? I'm surprised
Yes.
you survived. Well done. Well done indeed.
I, for one, will have to decline the offer of duck. I would hate to cash in on my clout in order to fill my belly.
I'll take his duck.
He says, sitting there in his fine robes and a fat, like, wizard college class ring on his finger. Very clearly a young man, but very clearly trying to emulate, like a professor.
I will take his duck and chop additional firewood.
very good.
Duck for everyone, I guess,
She says-
except for him.
It should be out here shortly then. And if there's anything else I can do to help, please don't hesitate to. Before she finishes that sentence, the walls of the tavern begin to shake as though the earth itself is collapsing in. It is a massive and tremendous thunderous roar, like a crack of thunder or the fissuring of the entire town. It sounds like the entire town might be caving in on itself. The walls shake. Looking up into the rafters, the dust that had long settled where it's hard to get to and actually brush it away pooms into the air, and there's just little trickles of light that are making their way in, and the entire room fills with this kind of, you can see the light rays moving through the windows. All of you need to make reflex saves as you are almost thrown out of your chairs from the massive concussion in the entire ground shaking around you.
It seems to be an earthquake, he says as he continues eating with his 20 reflex save.
Jingles. Looking for a DC 10 on this one, a DC 10.
What if I want to hold on to the chair, but the chair falls over?
I like that. Very good, very good.
And that
what's
is
it
located
under?
where?
Oh, I
It
clicked
should
it
be under
wrong.
defenses,
Defense tab.
and then
Great.
it should be
Combat
the
skill.
second one, reflex. There'll be a little die you can click, and it should roll for
Why
you.
mine is not there under defenses?
Miss Kitten.
Why?
Fantastic. You are in this moment, Lucas. You are almost, I would say, you're kind of locked eyes, and she locks eyes with you as she is saying this. And in that moment, as the walls begin to shake, the ground seems to almost come alive beneath your feet. You are thrown from your chair as you lean forward and lean back, and you're thrown backwards, landing hard on the ground. You take one non-lethal damage, which is no big deal. Basically, you just hit your head a little bit hard. Your tea goes flying. Your holy text goes into the air. You land on your tuchus. Calgadir, you, still holding on to your mead and your other mead, fall back as the mead both pour into you. It's almost intentional, it looks like, as you lean back into your chair as well, spilling to the ground. You take one non-lethal damage as well, and on top of that are drenched in mead, watered down mead. So you smell kind of like honey a little bit, and it's probably an improvement. I don't know how often he bathes. But with that being said, you hear from outside, this happens in a split second, no more than 6 seconds, just one round. Everyone inside of the tavern says, "Oh, what's just happened? Oh no, did the old tower finally fall? I don't know. We should rush outside." From outside, you hear the shouts of townsfolk. "Oh my gods, the tower, it's fallen! Hunclay finally did it! Oh lords, oh gods, oh, is anyone there? Please, we have to see if there's any survivors. Did anyone get crushed?" And everyone's starting to panic outside. And before she can finish her sentence, even the young woman, Talia, she looks to all of you for a moment, and then without a second's thought, rushes outside onto the Clackature Road to look northeast northeast, up into the corner of the map. And my question to all of you is, do you follow suit? Or do you simply get back up and continue your meal like nothing has happened?
Appius rises mildly and kind of dusts off the dust from the rafters and says, well, it appears the tab's open, and then walks outside with her.
I love it. I love it.
Gesturing to the empty bar.
Does everyone else proceed as well?
So, but when you went to get your drink, we had talked about, hey, let's buy the tower and flip it and make some money.
Yeah.
So much for that idea, boys.
But as you burst out into the street, you can hear shouts from all manner of citizens that have come out of their homes. They've come out. You see a bunch of school children from the schoolhouse just off to the left-hand side. They've come out into the backyard. They're looking. A elven school teacher is trying to corral the children who are like, oh, no, what's happened? Oh, no, look at the dust blooms. And they're all being kids and frolicking around. The Belhaim Candleworks owner is out. You can see wax on his hands. He's looking out, trying to brush it off a little bit, was obviously working at some point. The horses and the Dahlgren livery are all a bustle, much like the hunt horses. Just a couple of them are galloping around the yard there and seem very frantic in this moment. The whole town, which was more of this kind of sleepy, quaint village, is just abuzz. And as you look to the northeast, up past the bridge, past Odelay's Firs, past what is called the Hunclay Manor, you see what looks to be a partially collapsed, or at one point, you remembered as you walked in, there was a tower there, this massive old wizard's tower that is next to what's called Hunclay's Manor. And you see that tower has completely collapsed onto its side, and there is this massive brown and gray, a little bit of black dust cloud, this plume of smoke that is risen up as the tower collapsed. And you see a multitude of people are quickly beginning to make their way over towards that tower, seeing if anyone was hurt. And I'm curious, do you choose to follow along with everyone else to see what the ruckus is about? Do you start breaking into homes and stealing stuff? I mean, we can play Bandit's Bounty. I'm just saying it's an option, but I leave the scene to you all to discuss.
As much as Calgadir wishes to go and steal things, really the only thing he ever steals is a woman's heart. No, he will immediately go and, if there's like any damaged buildings or someone, whatever, like he will immediately go and try and help somebody. That's kind of his first instinct, is to use his prodigious strength to assist those weaker than him.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So you take off and head towards the tower, which is beautiful. What about everyone else? What are you guys doing?
I think Rikus would follow suit as soon as he sees that
also follow.
Calgadir is going.
And he's hauling it like Terminator running, because he has like an extra movement speed because of barbarian shenanigans, and he's just T1000ing his way.
Hauling butt.
He's hauling ass all the way.
And it takes you several minutes. It's there's a bit of a distance, but as you make your way up, you see that there are many folks that have come out, but only a handful of citizens. You notice that one of the gentlemen who would be somewhat familiar to you is the Deputy Hod. He is the second in command of the local garrison, the local guards in the town of Belhaim, and he is currently at the manor known as Hunclay's Manor, who is a local wizard of sorts in the town, and he's currently banging on the door of that manor as you all arrive. And you see that there's a small crowd of people, maybe a dozen or so, but most stayed back, whether it be through fear or just they weren't really that interested. We're not sure. But as you get close, you see that this man is banging on the door to Hunclay's Manor. Just banging, banging, banging. No response. He's yelling, "What in the nine hells have you done now, Hunclay? How dare you? You must answer for your crimes. You son of a bitch. I will bring you up on charges of destruction of property and evil wizardry and a multitude of other things that I can't think of. But I will see you in the stockade for this." And he's just banging and banging and banging.
I would speak to the Grand Magus with more respect.
Silence! I'll get to you in a moment. He just keeps banging on the door for several moments.
I don't think you can talk to him that way.
You need assistance in opening this door.
And at the mention of "do you need assistance in opening the door," a softer voice. She has a couple of townsfolk kind of flanking her, along with a young man that looks related to her as well. You see her there, but she steps forward, seeing your small party gathered together, and she waits for Khal to ask Hunclay, to ask Hot if he needs needs assistance. He doesn't respond. He's completely focused on that door. But as she calls out to you, she says, I know this might sound a bit silly, but I can see you're not from here.
What gave it away?
Your clothing, your smell, the fact that I've never seen you before, and it's a small town, but a number of things. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mayor Origana. I am the local noble and, I suppose, overseer of this village. As you can see, the tower appears to have recently collapsed, and although I trust Hard there to be able to, how do I put this, do his duties, I think this particular adventure may be beyond his capability. So today is indeed your lucky day. As I mentioned, Mule and Hard here can't handle this without the sheriff to hold their hands, and I want to know what's happened here. So you all seem a bit of a capable bunch, and as I understand it, it would seem you've fallen on a bit of hard times. Your person that hired you on as a caravan guard was carted away earlier today. Am I mistaken?
Yes, they took away the asshole. Who's standing next to Calgadir, by the way? Like directly next to him. Who wants to take that charge?
Probably Appius, because he walked up to the door with you.
Calgadir leans over and goes, "What is a mayor? Is it like a chieftain?"
Similar, with more local support.
So I should challenge it. Oh, we'll leave the challenging for superior. Okay, we'll leave that to later. Okay.
Social leader, not a military one.
Absolutely delightful. Here is my request. I would like you to discover what's transpired and why the tower, and as soon as she goes to say why the tower fell, that small gathering of a dozen people that I mentioned earlier, from the middle of that crowd, one of them shouts, "Kobolds! Oh, gods! There's a dead kobold in the tower! Oh, what if the creatures have barreled into the town? Oh, gods! We're all doomed!" And the small crowd off to the right starts to kind of begin to panic a little bit in this moment, and even the mayor gets a little bit wide-eyed. It appears that there's even more intrigue here. And let me put it this way. Find out why the hell there were kobolds in that rubble, find out why the tower collapsed, and I will pay the sum of you, or the lot of you, 500 gold pieces each for your time and effort. Does that seem a fair deal?
Not a fair deal.
That's a lot of money.
We'll do it.
You just trust random strangers that come into your town to fix your problems?
I trust hearty types to not ask questions when offered large sums of money.
You trust disposable idiots, is what she's trying to say.
And the young man standing next to her lets out the most arrogant snort mixed with a laugh that you've ever heard.
Let's put it this way. We're idle hands that are potentially harmful or helpful. We can be helpful right now.
Luckily for her, she's offering us coins, so I'm on her side for now. But I've already been stiffed once today. Don't try and fuck me. And he just gives her like the most like, I will break your fucking neck look that a human being can give another human being. And then he goes back to being cheery.
And the young man next to her, his hand slowly moves towards the sword hilt, but doesn't actually touch it as you go back to being gregarious. Continue, Aaron.
I mean, Grizz is right, though. This is a lot of money for... I'm no engineer. I can't tell you why that tower fell over.
I can.
Gravity. That's what it's called, right? Gravity? Is that the thing?
I would surmise that it started to fall over, and then it fell over.
Look, we've already figured out why the tower fell. Now we just have to go kill the kobolds. Easy money. Come on.
You will remember that she is a noble, even of this small region. They have other people's money to spend.
I don't care whose money it is. If I can use it to buy ale, it's good enough for me.
Appius is rapidly extracting himself from the situation of insulting the noble
I would
and
like everyone to
walking
make a
towards the
quick
tower.
sense motive check on the Baroness, as it were, the Countess.
Let's see
rapidly moving
if
to the tower.
She just writes him
Hating himself.
off as the dumb brute and lets him get away with it because he doesn't know any better. Oh, he's just a mountain man. Like, I mean, he's wearing a leather shirt, like a leather armor, right? But it's like sleeveless because, of course, it is. It's just runic tattoos all over.
Matthew.
Like, this is clearly a
Matthew. That's 5. That is wonderful that you rolled a 1. And it's also hilarious that Cal's the one that's going to make this check. But Matthew, your memory in this moment drifts back to the young woman at the Wise Piper, just for a brief moment, and there was something. She seemed like she was hiding something. You can't quite place it, but you're listening to this countess, you're listening to this baroness in front of you, the mayor, and it just, your mind drifts back, and you can't shake a feeling like something is off about the whole situation back at the Wise Piper, but it's probably nothing. Let it go. No big deal. But with that being said, Cal, you realize that, and you can determine what you want to do with this information, but you realize that there is a bit of a strain in the Baroness's voice as she's asking you to look into this tower. There's something that she's not quite letting out in this moment. It is strange. Like Aaron said, that's a large sum of money to give out to go and investigate a tower, which obviously was just gravity. Tower was maybe old. It just fell. Like, things fall. Maybe there's some kobolds. Who knows? No big deal. But there's something more to her request.
So Calgadir opens a little pouch on his hip, and he pulls out a tiny little porcupine thing, and he's like, listens. Maybe she's trying. What
a weird man.
She's trying to fuck me. There's something you're not telling me, lady. He says so. Steel Spine, Destroyer of Worlds, says so. And he puts him back in his little pouch.
She turns away from Calgadir and turns towards the logical part of the group and looks at
rapidly departing back.
Rikus.
It's a hedgehog, by the way,
Rikus,
not a porcupine. I was wrong.
As well as Gris, who is all staying there. And she says, although your colleague is a bit brash in his statements, there is a bit more to this tower. I'm honestly not surprised that it fell. It was old and crumbling, and with that being said, my husband lost his life in this tower, and I'd hoped to, well, that is to say, I'd come to think of the tower as a kind of memorial to him. He spent many of his later years poking around in the lower levels of it, and one day he simply never returned. So if you can perhaps find out what happened to him in the lower levels of the ruin, it would do my heart some good and perhaps give me some closure to what happened to him.
Why didn't you say so?
She frowns at that question, but does not answer it.
As boorish as it might have been expressed, that is still a genuine question. If you wanted somebody to investigate the unfortunate circumstances surrounding your husband's passing, why didn't you just ask us that?
She looks around towards the young man to her left, and there's a couple of other folks that are just within earshot, and she takes a step forward and speaks a little bit quieter, and she says, this may be, she looks directly at Cal, this may be a bit beyond your understanding, but nobles have a presence they need to maintain. They have an air of knowing what the fuck they're doing they need to maintain. My husband was a adventure seeker when he should have been at home with his family. The embarrassment of that is something that I do not wish to speak about lightly. So you'll forgive me if I kept that a bit more close to the cuff.
The more I learn about these nobles in your civilized lands, the more I wonder why they don't just outright challenge each other and kill each other. Seems like it'd solve a lot of problems.
Politics is a fickle place.
Well, I'll help you.
How long ago was it that your husband passed? Or at least since you've seen him?
It's been roughly 6 months.
Are we the first people that are going to look for him?
The wizard Hunclay used to tool around in the tower, and I'm curious as to why he's not answering his door. The deputy is still banging on the door, screaming profanities at Hunclay, who still has not answered. And you do see on the woman's face there is a small amount of concern that crosses the face as she mentions that it's strange that Hunclay has not answered his door. Usually, although he is a bit reclusive, although he is a bit eccentric, although he does keep to himself, if someone knocks on his door, he'll simply answer to tell them to get fucked.
A reasonable response to people at the door, if I'm honest.
Kelgadir would like him.
I also would like him because that's what I do.
But
You trying to
so he's been gone for 6 months.
Yes.
The wizard pokes around the tower, but you've sent nobody else to go find your husband.
I know you are relatively new to the town, but she motions towards the smattering of villagers. You see a baker, a candlestick maker, you see a couple of farmers, and she says, although they are hearty working folks and hard-working folks, they would die to a house cat. There's a little fourth wall joke for you.
Like I suggest more protein and calcium in their diets.
Perhaps a few character levels as well. No, I'm kidding. I digress. All right, let's get back into character. I will certainly take that into consideration at our next council meeting. But if it's all in agreement, I will leave my son here outside the tower, and once you emerge from the ruins, he will bring you to me, and I will see that you are paid.
Before she leaves, like when she moves off a little bit, Calgadir will use his incredible speed to catch up with her, and not grab her, but was your husband? You said he was an adventurer, and you didn't like him for that. But was he a good man? Did he provide for your family?
She is taken aback by that question. There was a look of slight offense, and now there's a look of no one's ever asked me that. And she stammers, she stutters, she stumbles over her words in this moment, and she says, yes, he did.
Then I will help find him. Or at least bring you closure. If he was a good man.
As well.
Thank you. And then she will depart back to her estate. Her estate.
Okay.
Her estate.
Her
How
estate.
much was she offering 500 gold a piece,
Yes.
for everybody?
No.
Yes.
Oh, wait, a piece or in
Yes.
total?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It's not a small
Okay.
amount as well.
Okay.
It paints as a horse of a different color, don't it?
Yeah, we were thinking it was 500 in total. 500 a piece?
Well, that was
That's an obscene amount of money.
Maybe she assumes
what
you
I was
all
trying
will
to get
survive.
at.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what
now we can buy the ruined tower and flip it.
I mean,
like they
in
said.
her defense, people have survived 600 days at sea on a sailboat. So, I'm not going to count a man out yet.
But
And he was an adventurer. So,
as you are all congregating together, discussing your quick turn of fortune, as it were, from down your luck, no pay, to you might make more money than you would have made doing 100 caravan adventures, as it were, caravan guarding. The deputy returns, looks at you all, and then moves over to the crowd and starts trying to corral the folks that are pointing out some of the, kobold bits that are sticking out of the ruined tower, and he starts to push the crowd back, and the mayor's son walks over to Hod. You hear them have a quick exchange where he explains that his mother has hired the 5 of you to investigate the tower and to not interfere. Hod says, well, I could have done it, and just because the sheriff's not here doesn't mean I can't do it. I'm fully capable. They just have a little bit of an argument back and forth. He obviously looks a little offended, but no big deal. But I leave you all just maybe 100 feet away from the tower and give you a moment to just discuss amongst one another how you would like to proceed.
Has anybody ever done anything like this before? I'm out of my element.
I can likely tell you how the tower fell, but I've never delved into a dungeon before.
Gravity, we've solved that one already. No?
That's a contributing factor, yes.
Fair.
Tried kobolds before, but
Kobolds like to dig. Maybe they undermine the tower and cause it to collapse.
Yep, he's gonna cast a glance over the tower and see if he can see anything immediately that sticks out as like, that is a problem.
Excellent. So, a DC 15 knowledge engineering check. You are the smart one of the group. You are the college professor, as it were. Freshly professorized.
Freshly minted.
Is that the correct?
Minted.
Is that the correct term, Matthew? Professorized? Did I say it right?
Sure, let's go with that.
PhD'd. All right.
Does he have tenure though? That's the real question.
I don't think so.
No.
Not yet.
God, no.
Okay, then you're just a worthless sack of flesh.
So,
It's true.
as you move towards the crumbled heap that was this large, massive tower, I mean, this tower was a good 100 feet tall. It was enormous. So there is just rubble everywhere and just a multiple, like a football field size or a soccer field size, just rubble and bricks and wood and looks like broken bed frames and furniture all over this field that you see before you. Right there. And as you move closer to this area, Epis. Epis? Did I say that right?
Epius.
Epius. Thank you, Epius. As you move closer, you begin to just look around and start to analyze the structural integrity, how it might have fallen, and it's very like if you've ever seen The Hangover, where he's like doing the math and you see all the numbers.
Yes.
Flashing before your face. It's
yeah.
just like that in this moment. And you realize two things. Now, I'm going to describe this scene to you here. So an enormous heap of cracked stone and splintered wood from the tower lies in a low mound here, tumbled partially down the hill to the southeast. The mound of rubble forms a natural ramp that leads up to the now exposed second floor of the tower above. Now, your engineering check reveals two things. First of all, the bulk of the tower seems to have crumbled into a kind of sinkhole. It looks like it maybe like sunk down as though maybe the ground or the earth beneath it was removed. So perhaps kobolds digging, we don't know, but it literally crumbled in. And as that crumbled in, the rest of the tower lost its integrity and then it collapsed in on itself. Now, the second thing that your check reveals is that the rubble is extremely unstable in its current situation and could likely shift if not traversed carefully.
Well, I'd be careful about climbing on it. It doesn't look like it's very settled. But I guess that's what we were hired to do. Anyone want to take a look around? He says, standing at the foot of the mound of rubble.
Well, respectfully, if none of us is actually experienced with this sort of enterprise, shouldn't we ask the townsfolk if they have any records of the underbelly of this tower? Do they have maps of it? What was its purpose? We know nothing about what we'd be entering into.
Fuck it. Starts climbing.
I doubt we'll have, even if we find records, if the kobolds were digging in there, the layout might have very well changed drastically.
That's true, but it's an assumption that the kobolds were digging there.
I don't see how else they would have gotten in without anyone seeing them.
It's also possible the records of the tower's purpose were inside the tower.
That said, we could go back and poke around some. It doesn't cost anything but time.
What about the wizard? Lives next door.
What about
And the deputy?
to be honest, I don't know if he knows very much, but the wizard.
Stand back! Stand back, everyone! We've hired professionals to investigate the tower. Everything is under control. It's not under control. The tower fell over. There's a bunch of dead kobolds. It's under control. These are hired professional adventurers that know what the hell they're doing and have done this sort of thing countless times before. They have multiple character levels, all right? They're definitely not first-level adventurers on their first foray into danger.
Does anyone know how to climb?
Yes. So Calgater's already like a third of the rubble, and he just yells out, "Oh, they're not all dead!" And then you just hear like a blood-sickening thwack. It goes, "Now they are."
And Matthew, you're going to say something.
No, that's okay.
All right. I saw you go to say something. But Calgadir, I need you to make a climb check as you begin to
Climb
traverse
check.
the ramp that leads up to the second floor of this partially collapsed tower.
Like a spider monkey.
And as you're making your way up there, Kelgadir, the ground itself is not really ground. It's not really a ramp. It's just where the rubble fell and created this kind of luge-like incline up to the second level. And as you begin to make your way up to the second level, your right foot hits a rock, gives way, but you catch yourself. And looking back, you don't think anyone saw you. Except, I need you to make a quick perception check, please.
Reminds me of the mountains of home.
Fantastic.
Ooh.
As you make your way up to almost the second story, you can just see up and over the tower into the kind of southeast where there's a bit more of that thicker forest. In the trees, kind of deep back, maybe 30 feet into the trees, you see two yellowish looking eyes that they look almost canine, and you see them blink once and then disappear. There's probably nothing.
Like shakes his head for a second and he like, how much meat have I had today? He goes back to climbing.
But as you make your way up to the second story, go ahead. Is that please?
Would we notice him shake his head like that, or
Your call.
I
He's
think
not trying to hide it.
I would definitely. You all right?
I'm fine. It's great. It's just watch your step if you want to come up here. This just smells like shit. All the kobolds appear to have shit themselves when they died, which is fairly normal. People do it too. Disgusting business.
Keep going, big man.
While he's climbing, Epis is going to go ahead and like circumnavigate this pile of rubble and see if the way down is exposed in any way, if there's like a cellar entrance or anything.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful idea. Go ahead and make, and everyone can do this if they wish to help. Anyone that wants to investigate the perimeter, make perception checks on the tower.
I am preoccupied and will refrain.
While Lucas is doing that, rather than actually examining the area, he'd actually be refocusing or perhaps distracted by the crowd. Can I see the proprietor of the inn that we're staying at? And is there anything that I notice about the crowd itself that stands out as unusual?
Wonderful. So as you are investigating kind of absentmindedly the tower, more focusing on the crowd, Lucas, you look around and you do not in this moment see the proprietor of the tavern. You do, however, notice that the crowd they don't seem as nervous as they should when there could be a bunch of kobolds beneath their city. They seem mildly bemused by the situation, more like if you've ever seen people driving by a car wreck, they're looking at it like, oh wow, it's that kind of expressions on their faces. It's their problem, not ours, as though they are somewhat disconnected from the magnitude of the situation. A kobold invasion could be incredibly deadly for a bunch of townsfolk, as it were. But I'm gonna have you make a quick perception check because I want to see if you notice one thing in the crowd. That is a 23 in your first nat 20. Great turnaround from all those nat 1s. Fantastic. You do notice that there is roughly 30 people that have gathered. There's a small perimeter that Hod and his two other deputies have formed to keep the crowd about 300 feet back from the actual rubble, allowing you all a chance to investigate and look around. And I haven't forgotten everyone looking. I will get to you in a moment. But you notice that in the middle of the crowd, you see what appears to be a kind of almost reptilian-looking humanoid, maybe even a lizard folk. And if you imagine a sea of faces and a small gathering of crowd, near the center of that crowd, you think you see a scaled human, looks sort of reptilian, with these kind of almost lizard-like eyes. They blink for a moment, then they open, and then as you blink and shake your head, you see just normal people standing in that crowd. It was just a split second that you saw this. He looked reptilian in that moment. Those kind of like slanted eyes kind of thing, like those reptilian eyes is the best way to describe it. And it was a green, scaly-looking skin on his face, and he looked male as well, from what you could tell.
I think Lucas just sort of shakes his head and rubs at that bump that he received earlier on in the sort of fracas at the tavern, and goes back to refocusing on the investigation of the tower.
Perfect. And the rest of you, as you begin to make this wide circle around the tower, we've got a 15, an 11, a 12. If we assume that all of you are assisting one another, that is a cool learning moment here. When one person makes a check, as a ally, you can choose to do what's called the aid another action. Your DC, or your difficulty check, is a 10. You roll the specific skill. Let's say it was perception, or if it was, you can even do it in combat to give someone a bonus on their to hit. But you can roll against a DC 10. If you make it, you give that other player a +2 to their check. So let's just assume that maybe we did that. Let's assume that Gris was the primary one making the check, and it looks like everyone else in this situation was able to assist them, giving you a total of, I believe, a +3 in this moment, which is fantastic. So that would give you a total of, so +6, that would give you a 21. Gris, as you are investigating the tower, you see that the tower is like a mound of rubble, and there are no entrances around the perimeter. It is collapsed in on itself. Likely, based on your investigation, the only way in would be up and then down through the tower, likely. So where Kelg is currently at this moment is likely, if there's an entrance, that's the only way in.
I think Gris is going to kind of fuck. Well, the boys are ready. We got to go up.
Who brought the 50-foot coil of rope?
I've got one.
Good man. I brought the chalk instead, but no, I got 50 foot of rope. Yeah,
Only
no.
way in.
Yeah.
Looks like we got to go through it. There's nothing out here.
Listen, Gris, if you can make that ascent, I would appreciate it if you take this rope and attach it to something sturdy so that I can get up there, because I'm.
Well, I mean, Cal has a thing of
clumsy.
rope too, so he can tie it off to a. I mean, I'm assuming the tower is made of like giant ass stone blocks or something.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And so
I'm with you there,
know,
Rikus.
he'll tie it around a stone block and then huck the rest of the coil down the thing. And then as soon as somebody's on it, he'll start pulling them up in addition to them trying to climb.
Oh, all right. I think before we go up there, there's something that and he just sort of looks around at the crowd, Rikus does, and sort of leans into everybody who's present. So that would be, I guess, Lucas and Gris and Epius, and say, all right, listen, I've got some martial training, but I have to level with you. I've never been in a fight.
Neither have I.
Hunted bandits with the military. That's
All right.
Minor skirmishes.
try not to
All
get into
right.
a fight. You
I'm-
can put an arrow in a man's throat.
That's
This is new. I'm in the woods. That's where I spend my time. I don't like being underground. I don't think, because I've never been underground. I don't.
right. I mean, I'm well, I'm a farmer.
Understand
I've got training in the militia where I grew up, but I'll do what I can to help you.
Well, before we decide to dive down into hell itself, should we see about the wizard who's not answering the door?
Well,
Or
Hunclay was
Do
one
you
of our
want
old
to try
professors.
and
I
hope-
believe he would have opened the door if he was able.
or if
Or
he was of the
inclined.
mind to, he's a wizard, and they're well.
He
I
would have
read
been
a book
inclined to stop.
once said they're mercurial.
He would have been inclined to stop the noise, if nothing else.
What a barbarian friend. I heard wizards are dicks.
You're right.
Well,
I too have heard that.
all right. Well, let's get in there, I suppose.
Yeah, he's just kind of eyeing the way up with a little bit of horror.
Up on the second story, Kelg, where we left you, the second story is open to the sky above. This exposed upper floor contains only some small smashed furniture and a sprinkling of rubble. A trap door is set into the floor against the northwest wall, but a stout timber has fallen across it. Might be a good place to lash the rope to and let everyone get up.
Yeah, if it's he'll give it a good kick, make sure it's wedge. Be like, this will do.
Give me a strength check.
Strength check. Let's see what happens.
I just want this to be a nat 20 and you split it in half. I would be so happy.
So good.
You would not believe the amount of times I've kicked indoors and killed people on the other side. So let's see.
Or it's a 1 and he breaks his
Oh,
foot.
it's a
Go to
7.
kick,
There, it seems fine.
and your foot hits it, and it's like kicking a literal brick wall, and your foot goes a little numb, like that numbness travels up your calf. You're not sure if anyone saw it, but it's definitely sturdy.
You sprained your ankle.
Pain is but weakness leaving the body.
But everyone is able to begin their ascent. You can all make a climb check. If Kelg throws down a rope, everyone would get a +5 to this climb check. So you'd roll your normal climb check with a +5. You don't have to add that in. We just do it afterwards. Go ahead and make the roll, and then we'll add +5 to it. The DC is an 8. So unless anyone rolls a really bad, really bad, I think you guys will be fine. Success. Ooh.
Hey, there you go.
Wow, you are up there like a master of climbing. You're the climb master. You're the climster, as it were.
I like to imagine what happens is as soon as the wizard's the last one on the rope, Cal just grabs the rope and just starts pulling it in like a winch. It's like, oh, this man's going to need help. He's the weakest of the bunch. So let's just pull him in.
So you all
Just holding onto the rope.
He's just hanging on, just for dear life.
flying through the air. But as it takes you several minutes. It's some more graceful than others. Val being the most graceful of all of you with that nice 16. It was very good. But you all make your way up to this second level. Now imagine, if you will, that it was a circular tower. It was about a 50-foot diameter tower. So it was a big, massive, old, ancient wizard's tower that it was. But it's about half, almost a third of it is all that remains. So most of it's fallen. You can look down to your kind of the southeast away, where you see that rubble has fallen towards the trees. You can see the rubble falls down. You're about 20 feet in the air. There's no handrail or anything. And you're all kind of closely gathered together, but there's enough space for you to maneuver and now attempt to move this large log, this wooden beam that's fallen across this trapdoor.
I would just go to start grabbing the beam.
Yeah, the ranger would be my choice.
Perfect. Go ahead and make a quick strength check.
Epia stands there with hands on his hips and says, "You should lift from that other end."
You know what? I'll allow you to use the knowledge engineering. Give a +2. So that is a 19 total. I think that's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So Kelgadir is going to help as well, which is good. So go ahead and why don't you make that strength check as well, Zeb?
All right. Hang on here. Hang on.
Can anybody bring a snatch block, or we're just going to do it the old-fashioned way?
Sounds like it's the old-fashioned. You grab one end and he grabs the other. I love that. I love low-level adventures. It's like, lift the log. I love low-level adventures.
Kill the rat, lift the log, proceed to crouch.
Where is my strength?
Should you have your character
core-
show your core
there it
sheet?
is.
You just roll a
There it
little
is,
die
yeah.
next to strength.
Yeah,
Yep.
I got it. Yeah.
Okay, so
You don't got it.
here's
What
what
back?
happens. Here's what happens. You go to lift, but as
No,
you
lift
go
with
to
your legs.
lift, everyone's telling you, like, lift with your legs. Don't lift with your legs. Lift with your back. No, you're doing it wrong.
Straighten your back, lift with your legs. Make sure you have it.
Algadir, he ends up, like, not waiting for you to get a good enough grip, and then flips it up, and it
Lift
goes
it up pole-wise.
flying up towards you, and I need you to make a reflex check not to get hit by the beam as it flies
Oh my
up.
god, is our ranger gonna get crushed by this beam?
He could
before
die
he can
here.
get into
It's
the tower?
possible. It's possible.
Nah.
Welcome to Darewolf's game, Zeb. You're dead.
Look, we'll be positive. He's just going to have a broken nose.
So the
nice.
beam flies up into the air. Kelgadir, you didn't realize how strong you were in this moment. You lift and it goes. It's like, you ever seen like the log tosses. That
Oh
they
yeah,
do,
like strong men, like
exactly.
And it's that
you do one of
elastic.
those. It flips up.
Beautiful.
Zeb, you have to sidestep, hugging the still remaining wall of the second story. The log goes flying up, lands on its end, teeters for a moment. All of you are frozen for a second, like, oh, which way is it going to go? And now I need one of you to roll me a D100. Just roll me a D100, and we're going to see which direction.
Let's make Matthew do it. Yeah.
99.
FNG.
Okay. Whoa. So here's the good news. It doesn't fall towards any of you. It falls over the edge into the rubble and goes like dominoes, like a tink, tink,
Ass
tink,
over tea kettle.
tink, and then boom, lands with a little plume. And then from the crowd, you actually hear a couple of, oh, that was really impressive. Right. Good job. Yeah, they must be really adventurous. That was wonderful. And they're very impressed. Yeah, they're very impressed. But you now have access to this trap door that leads down to the first floor of this collapsed tower, and I leave the scene back to you all.
So should we drop a rope in there? And
So, well, before we open it, does Calgadir's spidey sense go off approaching this door?
Roll me a perception check. I don't know.
Let's see.
Maximized horrid wilting.
yes.
Hard yikes.
Bleh.
Oh, it's fine.
The door seems completely fine. It looks like it was just a trap door in this wizard's tower.
It's a trap door, all right.
Wait, frankly, I'm surprised. I'm impressed with its construction. I mean, to survive the collapse of the building, this is a good craftsmanship door. Opens it.
Not a splinter on it. As you open the door, there is a smell that wafts up. It appeared the door was almost sealed tightly as the beam had fallen on it, so it had created this kind of pressure seal. And as you open the door, it's kind of this sticky, like you've ever opened like a mason jar that's been sealed.
Oh,
You,
yeah.
Pop. There's almost a pop that happens, and the door gives way slightly. Exactly. And as the door opens, there's this wafting smell that comes up, and it is a mixture of decay, old nasty decay, and very like damp cave. So if you've ever been in a damp cave or like in the middle of a swamp, it's got that kind of swampy nastiness, and it wafts up, and it smells like old rot that wafts up.
Yeah. So it's like a musty smell with like, if anyone's ever been near a dumpster on like a hot summer's day, that
Exactly.
high like
Yeah.
dumpster smell
Yeah.
with a little bit of must, like
Yeah.
from the
As-
south.
It's moist.
As
I
F
hate it.
sees the reaction of the people closer to the door coming towards him, makes a magic sign and prestidigitates the air to smell a little bit better around him.
It still faintly moves
Still a
through, but it's
little
not
bit
bad.
you know?
The air itself has like animated like squiggles coming out of it. That's how we know. It's like, ugh.
Yeah.
There's 3 squiggles over there, but only 1 squiggle over here.
Exactly.
You know, now
Oh, my mouth is open.
now it kind of smells like the farm in springtime.
Something's dead down there. Yes, certainly. Well, in we go.
Oh, my mouth was open. It smelled like the farm in springtime.
Oh,
Oh my god, I gotta pull myself together. That was really freaking funny. Give me a second.
warn me,
Oh my
cow.
God, that was good. That was so funny. I pulled my headphones out of their connection on my computer.
And I thought Tower smelled bad on the outside.
Jesus.
Oh
That was
my
a reference.
God, that is awesome. That is
That's
so
a neat
good.
reference.
So good. All right, so the door is open. The smell is somewhat, it's mixing with fresh air. The prestidigitates like fighting these green squiggles with like blue fresh squiggles. It's like a Febreze commercial happening
Yes.
in this moment. They're fighting each other. But the trapdoor is open, and it leads down roughly 20 feet to the first floor of this tower.
Okay. First thing Calgadir does is check the ladder for structural integrity because he has an intelligence of 10, folks. He's not a complete idiot. He's just socially inept.
Knowledge engineering or intelligence check. If you don't have
Yeah, it's gonna be intelligence.
Appius is not over the structural integrity of the ladder, weighing 140 pounds.
you'll be fine.
Oh yeah, what we'll do is we'll send the wizard down first because I assume he's the scrawniest, and if he makes it, then everyone else is gonna go, and then the blood ranger.
I stand very firmly second to last in the party.
Okay,
I love that.
14's not
You know
bad
what?
for having a +0.
You know what? You've seen ladders This is the finest ladder. You know ladders. It's a wonderful ladder. The best ladder of all ladders. Trust me. Calgadia knows ladders. It's a great ladder. It's a very
He does the old
Huge ladder.
goes to get on it, gives it a good
Huge
kick or
ladder.
two, and was like,
Huge.
huge. And it goes.
It doesn't even budge. You kick it, and it's bolted in place. It is solid.
Oh yeah, that's a quality ladder.
It's a quality ladder right there.
Probably sell that ladder for 100 gold. That's the kind
Sell
of
that ladder for 100 gold.
Yeah,
Note to self: sell this shit.
made of dark
All right.
wood. It's really nice.
As he starts
Oh,
down
made
ahead
of dark
everyone-
wood. Yeah, it would be in a wizard's tower.
As he starts down ahead of everyone, Epius looks at the others and says, "Do you all have torches or lanterns?"
I have a lantern, yes.
Of course, I have a lantern,
Who wouldn't?
but
Okay.
you
Who? Epius taps the pommel of the sword. I guess it wouldn't be in his hand; it'd be on his hilt. He carries a big ass sword, by the way. It's very impressive looking, and he very clearly doesn't know how to use it. It's
So,
like the
as-
scabbard's bopping into things. He walks around. He like pushes it out of the way every time he goes to sit down. Yeah, it's not great.
So as soon as everyone goes, yeah, I can see in the dark, you just hear, I can't see shit down here.
So as you all make your way down
I
the
follow
ladder
her.
in varying degrees of ridiculousness, we move to the second level and the first level, excuse me. The tower's large ground floor has mostly collapsed under the rubble, but along the western portion of this room, a section remains clear of debris. An iron trap door set into the floor is directly below a companion door in the ceiling above, the one you traveled through. Shattered wooden furniture lies scattered around and among the corpses of two small green-scaled creatures. And my good cleric, this green-scaled creatures that you're now seeing, the kobolds outside were more of a kind of a reddish color. These green-scaled creatures look oddly familiar. Like you've seen a bigger one of these, like that moment in that crowd where you saw these lizard-like eyes. It flashes before you for a moment, you see it, and these creatures look familiar. That's all I can say.
Can I identify what they are if they're not kobolds?
They are kobolds.
Okay.
Oh, they're
The
kobolds.
green ones.
Ah, oof. Very impressive.
are they usually green?
It's usually red by the time I've done with them.
Knowledge local. To see if the kobolds are usually green.
Epius gives you a dissertation on kobold colors, on the phenotypical kobold colors of the region.
Much like the chromatic dragons, there are varying degrees and colors of kobolds. They don't have to
Right.
determine any sort of blah, 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 and it goes on and on and on.
Fascinating, yes.
Every time he gets to the end of where he's like, and they have a weakness to, and he goes, battle axe. And these ones have a weakness to, battle axe. These ones have a weakness to, that's what I killed with a boot.
I just assume it's just David Attenborough.
Yeah.
And here we find the green kobold.
And here we
Common
find
green
the
morph
natural
kobold.
habit.
Jesus.
And
Uh,
is there some kind of antipathy between the green and red kobolds based on their social structures, or
They can be
No.
tribal, but no.
Epius didn't know the answer. He answered it anyways.
I think it usually comes down to what dragon type or whatever they're worshiping or whatever.
and can we discern what actually killed them? Were they killed in the collapse of the tower, so they show signs of being crushed to death,
Make a heal
or are
check.
there?
Fix
That
one
would
up
be
by an
impossible to
ear.
tell.
A
Mm,
heal check.
well, it wasn't killed by a battle axe.
So
Nice.
interesting you should mention what these were killed by. One of them appears to have died as it was crushed by a large chunk of tower that fell and broke its back. The other one, though, is showing signs of, they appear to be tiny little bite marks, and there's a bit of green kind of viscous ooze that's oozing out of its wounds, and it almost looks like a little bit like it got bit by something and potentially poisoned.
And studying that for a moment, sort of prodding at the wound without touching the green ichor, Lucas is going to turn over to our ranger. Come take a look at this. This one didn't die from the collapse, but I don't know what kind of animal would make a bite like this.
Knowledge dungeoneering if you've got it.
Knowledge skills. Oh,
I read about this one time. They're allergic
Yeah,
to ants.
we'll gamble it. Hey,
So it is untrained. So it'd be half of the score. And unfortunately,
Nine.
you're not sure. You're not sure. You can't quite place it. It looks like it was a tiny creature. Perhaps, you're not sure, maybe an insect. But you have no idea what kind of insect it would have been.
Epia stands aside, looking pointedly at Lucas, or whoever. I think it was Lucas who asked the ranger what it was, very pointedly keeping his mouth closed.
And he just sort of like looks back and over at the obviously quite wealthy wizard, grits his teeth. Would you care to have a look?
Yeah, that was.
Giant centipede. Centipede poison. 100%. Guaranteed. Yeah.
I'm so glad this is working out this way.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Gris,
Well.
it's a bug, Epius. I can tell you exactly how old to the day this bug is.
Is it like the kobolds? Is it also weak to a battle axe?
They're all weak to a battle axe. That's a trick question.
Well, if it was some sort of stone golem, it wouldn't really be weak to a battle axe. That would probably be.
Just swing it harder.
So what you know about giant
wasn't me.
centipedes of this style, Epius, you know that they have a poison that really like tenses up your muscles and causes them to begin to like all of your range of motion, so it's dexterity damage, and it is very, 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 very potent. A group of these against a kobold or a level 1 NPC commoner would take them out in a round or two. Centipedes tend to congregate, at least the giant size, to congregate in small groups, maybe 2, 3, up to even a dozen at any given time, and they tend to. It's not like they're working together in pack tactics, but they tend to swarm around one creature, bite it until it stops moving, and then literally eat it alive.
Epius will
Which
share what he
is
knows.
strange because this one was bitten but not eaten.
Eaten
It's
alive.
worse because it implies malice.
Fantastic. That's very good.
Also implies that the creature is likely nearby.
Maybe it got killed in the collapse.
Or maybe it scuttled off when it heard us coming and is waiting.
Just have a look around. I mean, that can't hurt.
Lots of rubble. You find a couple of additional kobold hands. Only hands. And other than that, though, nothing else. It's quiet. It's quiet. The air is still thick with that kind of trash, hot summer day trash smell mixed with old, damp mustiness. A dampness that hasn't been allowed to breathe in who knows how many years. If you ever walked into an old house, an old building, it's got that dampness. It's been leaking for years. That's what it smells like.
You can say New York. It's okay.
New York. That's funny. Yeah.
Well, onwards, I suppose.
There's a iron grate that leads down, so it's similar to the other trapdoor that was wooden. This one is a kind of cast iron that's been coated in some kind of material that actually makes this iron grate kind of slippery to the touch. It doesn't leave any residue on your hands, but as you slide across it, it's like if you've ever played air hockey, it's kind of like that smoothness. It almost feels like air on the iron door. Yeah, like Teflon, exactly, is the feeling that you're getting right now on this door. And
is it magic?
Do you cast detect magic?
Yes.
It is glowing with a bit of magic on it right now. Go ahead and make a spellcraft check. You are picking up divination magic on that spell, on that trapdoor, and as you focus in on the spell, you start to see the arcane runes and symbols and the magic that is woven into this. Very similar to the the I'm sorry, I keep thinking of that movie. I haven't watched that movie in years, the Hangover, but it's actually pretty funny. But you see all the numbers and everything flying in front of your face, and you recognize the alarm spell that's on this trapdoor.
It's going to either tell someone when we open it, or it's going to make a very loud noise when we open it, but I can't do anything about it.
Well, I mean, we doesn't look like we have much of a choice, so I guess let's open it. It is the only way down after all, isn't it?
Here's
Well,
that way.
If it attracts the attention of something, can we not prepare to meet whatever that might be in some way? Set up a barricade? I don't know. I'm as new at this as any of you.
So Calgladir takes his axe off his back, rears it back. It's like, go ahead, open it.
We're going to have to climb down, so either they're going to wait at the bottom for us, or we're going
Go
to
ahead,
go down to meet
open
them.
it.
I think the best strategy we have available is, if they're not already waiting for us, is to get down there very rapidly after we open the door so that we're all ready to fight them.
He pulls out an alchemist fire and pulls the pin. All right, open it. He's got just everything can be solved with the battle axe or burning it.
All right. Well, yeah, I think Rikus will do as Calgadir suggests. He'll grab the trapdoor and pull it open.
Give me a reflex save.
Oof.
No, it's not good for me.
That's why I didn't volunteer.
It's probably a mechanical trap.
Your hands begin to slip along the edges of the trap door, almost as though it's guiding you towards a specific handhold. And then that's viscous, kind of slippery, that Teflon feel. It ends right on either side. So imagine that you're standing above it, and then you find these handholds, and you watch as these handholds actually appear on both sides. These cast iron handholds appear in your hands. And this cast iron door should be 200 pounds, but you lift it as though it is a feather, and it comes up. As you are watching that arcane magic, that divination magic of that alarm spell that is on it, you watch as the spell appears to break. Whatever activation is activated, and then the spell quickly dissipates, fading away through your detect magic. But we then pivot over to the next scene, which I will describe to you what you see. Now, I have your character tokens on the map here in this moment. However, you can determine who goes down first, etc. But what you see as you peer down with your lanterns, with your torches, any sort of magical light that you have, as you look down, you see the walls of this chamber have buckled precariously in several places. The masonry and dirt are scattered across the floor. The collapse above plainly caused the structural damage. The dry, rotted frames of 5 simple beds lie against the north and south walls. To the southwest, the room broadens into a larger chamber. A rusted, grinning iron statue stands in an alcove to the northern wall between 2 wings of the room itself. And in the wall to the south, an old iron door rests closed. Everything in the room is rusted, but you are now picking up where that awful, horrible, musty, rotten smell was coming from. It was likely this room. But as you peer down into the rubble, you see, well, let's see what your perception checks tell you.
I should also take a look around with detect magic again.
Beautiful.
See if there's anything in the room.
Not picking up anything with detect magic.
All right.
Oh, wow, it doesn't matter. Ignore the buff thing.
Kelgadir, as you are peering down into the room, you have your axe at the ready, you see, well, no creature should have this many legs, but you see what appears to be a giant centipede that is just coiled into a small circle, almost like a cat that's coiled around and is resting. And it's coiled around its mandibled face. It's the little antennae up on its head, resting on its tail, on its backside. It's coiled into a small little section there, right in the middle of that kind of southern. Now, the cardinal directions, up is north, right is east, down is south, so keep it simple. But to the south there, you see it. It looks to be resting there quietly, like a sleeping cat.
He sees all, knows all.
Sees all, knows all,
Fears nothing.
fears nothing.
And as you notice it does appear to slightly blend into the flooring. Its carapace is the same kind of color as the flooring. Aside from it's got a very bright, not bright, but a kind of muted red head that slightly sticks out. That's what you notice first.
Does
Make
the
a,
24 get anything additional?
Ooh,
24. No,
nice.
that would be you would see the exact same thing, Gris. The exact same thing.
Yeah, as he's like, as soon as he points it out, he points it out, but for the first time since you've met this man, he says nothing. But clearly he's indicating something.
Appius will draw his oversized sword. He has a bastard sword.
Of course he
Yeah,
does.
well, do you have like a -6 to wield that?
Yeah.
That's that is
No,
wonderful.
-5 to hit, but yeah.
Wonderful.
You're an elf, right?
No.
No? Okay. I
Human.
was about to say.
Wouldn't help with a bastard sword either way.
Well, if you were an elf, you could take the elven curve blade, which is, at least you get proficiency with.
I'm not using it to swing it.
That is simple. I see.
Yeah, I think Rikus will slowly draw his long sword and get his shield off his back, and he just sort of looks at everybody else with this look of, what do we do?
Appius will and telekinetically project his sword at the centipede.
Go ahead and roll an attack roll.
He misses.
As the sword flies down,
Sails past him.
telekinetically projected, the sword flies down towards the centipede. As the sword is roughly halfway into the chamber below, it's about a 10-foot drop down to this chamber. There is indeed another ladder that leads down to this chamber. As it gets about 5 feet down, you watch as the centipede quickly uncoils. Those 100 legs begin to move, and the centipede scurries to the right and disappears into a crevice into the wall.
Oh.
And the sword returns to his hand. He says, "It's gone. I've scared it off."
I don't.
Dead
I-
hand. Just
I don't know much about, well, any of this, but it's probably going to strike from concealment when we go down there. Is it not? Is it not a predator?
You figured it out.
Appius kind of furrows his brows and looks in either direction.
The wizard is correct.
it's a predator.
It's an
Wizard
apex
is
predator,
correct.
and we're on its tough.
Oh, so the if you'll forgive me, the half orc is correct. The wizard was wrong to scare it off.
Gone. We had a centipede in front of us. Now that we don't.
Whichever.
I
You're a
don't see
very
how it's
short-sighted
possible
man.
for you to confuse us.
Eh?
You do know I'm not a wizard, right?
You're all magic mean to me.
It feels vaguely racist to me.
As far as I care, you're all shaman of some type.
He's an orc, half orc, as I am half elf. This does not make us magical.
If I may, Lucas, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I'm not actually an orc. I just look that way.
I'm sorry.
Who's the racist one now?
I'm actually a Miri Allen.
Don't call me shit.
So you
Fair
said
enough.
it's like a drop down to the southern section.
There's another very nice dark wood ladder that leads down to that section.
All right. Well, before we do that, I think we should probably poke around up here like more thoroughly. At least I think
Place
so.
has the
Yep.
place has the nicest ladders.
Yes, the nicest. Remind me to steal these ladders on the way back up. I wish to make axe handles from them.
No,
Bad
we need to make 10-foot poles from them, and we sell the poles.
So,
I like
Elias,
you.
you remember that you have feet and hands.
I do.
One hand, at least one hand. You're not sure where the other one went at this point.
I am very cognizant of my corporeal form.
Correct.
You only have 2 legs. Ha ha! Calgary has 3.
Oh dear.
Gross.
I know where that's going. That's nasty.
Hey, someone had to make it weird.
All right. It wasn't already? Oh my god. So as you all investigate this first floor, it is other than the light from your sources and the small amount of light drifting down from the second story where you climbed down through the wooden trapdoor, you're looking down through this iron trapdoor that is, I imagine that Rikus is still holding on to it. It's you can carry it with one hand. It's light. It's like super light, but if you set it down, the handles disappear, and if you were to kick it, it's 200 pounds. But it's a very cool door. Obviously enchanted in some way. You're not sure
Should
how.
make a shield out of it.
So, Game Master, just so I'm clear, the floor that we're on is the one below the trap door that we came in through.
Originally climbed in. You're on the first floor. This is the basement that you're looking down into.
Okay.
We're going down.
We're gonna go down.
Tokens on there simply so you have a reference, but you're not currently until you tell me down into this chamber. The statue. Actually, let me change the color of my ping because that's really hard to see. The statue is right here, and right there.
Yeah, I think.
Where the color is.
Rikus will look at Epius and say, "This door, once it closes, I don't know if we're going to be able to open it from the other side because it seems like there are magical handles here.
Does it have a piton or something to pin it open with, or anything to wedge it? Epius very clearly has no adventure equipment on. He doesn't even have a backpack.
Yeah, I believe I do.
His backpack had clothing and was left at the end.
Just a second.
Got
all sorts of shit.
Got a spare axe we can wedge it open with if we really need to.
Waste of a perfectly good axe.
I agree.
I mean, I've got a second coil of rope that we can
We're
put.
actually being really dumb. There's rubble everywhere. We'll wedge it open with rubble.
True. Rock.
Yeah.
Rock. Yes, we'll use the technological innovation of rock.
Yes.
So as you jam some rocks into this trap door, like on either side of it, and who wants to try to climb down first?
I think while that conversation is going on, very briefly, Lucas would be having a conversation with Gris. Gris, when you're hunting, you use traps, I would presume.
Not necessarily. I'm familiar with them, yes.
Well, I simply mean, rather than hunting prey, couldn't you bring the prey to you? And he just points over at the kobold body and then makes a little hucking motion towards the first floor or the basement floor.
Cal, throw it down there.
Cal just grabs a kobold by the ankle and just yeets.
And Lucas is actually going to take a bow off of his shoulders and knock an arrow, or at least have an arrow ready.
The kobold body flies down with a sickening crunch, landing somewhere in the middle of this lower chamber. As you all lean over, I imagine like all of you congregating around this, there's leaning over, looking down,
Scooby-Doo.
shining lanterns, very Scooby-Doo like. You watch as that centipede moves in, and a second centipede that appears from the walls as well moves in. They both move in quickly and just lunge, biting into that body.
And
Lucas, grab me more kobolds.
I think
one on the left, I suppose.
I think Rikus will look at Calgadir and say, do you still have that alchemist fire?
Oh, yes, I have 2. Give me more kobolds. We'll distract them.
Isn't the other
Oh
one
no,
like,
no, no! He takes it. He takes a kobold and shoves an alchemist fire in its mouth, and then throws it. So they bite it and break it.
That is aggressive, but I'll allow it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have you roll a ranged attack roll on these, on one of these two centipedes, and I believe that also Matthew, you were preparing an action, which is something you can do. You can what do is called ready in action. That if something happens, you say if X happens, I'm going to do Y. So, for example, you could say, hey, I wait for him to throw the kobold, I ready my bow. If one of the centipedes shows up, or multiple centipedes, I'd like to shoot the first one that shows up. Is that something you would have liked to have done, Matthew?
Yeah, that's what I was saying when I was sort of readying my bow to
I love
shoot.
it. Perfect. Awesome. So we're going to do this in we're not technically in combat. We're going to do this a little bit kind of more narratively, but I'm going to have Matthew, who is ready. Kelgadir, you're currently shoving an alchemist fire into a kobold's mouth. But Matthew, go ahead and make an attack roll with your bow. A ranged attack roll from your either attack or if you've built a macro, you make a range. Perfect. That is a 9. You fire. You fire. You feel like it's going to hit. It hits the centipede, and the arrow just ricochets off the carapace, flies towards the iron door, ricochets off that, and splinters into several pieces. The centipede on the left-hand side stops chewing on the kobold. Its head snaps looking up towards the ladder, and then it quickly scurries away back to whatever hole it climbed out of. The other one, I believe that Epius was going to throw his sword at it, and then also, let's see here, I believe that Kelgadir was going to throw a kobold. Epius, why don't you go first? You're still trying to shove that alchemist fire in its mouth. It's like jaw's broken, so it's not working quite as well.
Same exact roll as last time.
Oh, he gets it in there.
Wow, he gets it right in there.
He gets it. He just rips the jaw off and shoves it in the throat. He's
Your
like,
sword flies towards the creature, but as it gets about halfway to it, it is though something blocks it, as though it's like you're throwing a boomerang or like a frisbee. Let's say you're throwing a frisbee and the wind catches it and it kind of wavers. That seems to happen in this moment, and it strikes the ground right to its right, flies back up as the sword returns to your hand. Kelgadir, you have shoved that alchemist fire into the kobold. Make a ranged attack roll.
Right. 13.
13.
It is a splash
roll
weapon,
10.
so
That is a touch attack, right? Yes.
Yes.
That is a
I
hit.
guess.
Go ahead and roll a d6 damage.
One whole D6.
You know what? Roll
and-
a d6 plus an extra d4 for kobold. Bludgeoning.
bludgeoning
That is 4
damage.
damage.
Kobold
to it.
damage.
Kobold damage. I've never had the opportunity to make a Molotov kobold, but you know what?
You
I'll
know
take
what?
it.
There's a first time for everything.
There's a
There
first time for
truly,
everything.
Truly is. And with that in mind, the creature is going to make a quick reflex save. +4. It catches on fire. And as the kobold explodes, the area around it, about a 10-foot area perimeter around it, is burst into flame. Imagine a hellfire bomb, like we're playing Hunt Showdown. You see the entire area just illuminated in flame. It burns for several seconds, and as it burns, you see this centipede writhing in the center, and it lets out this horrific kind of and then it coils up like a spider. If you've ever like hit a spider and it like coils in on itself, all of its little legs coil together, and then it goes inert and stops moving. It appears you have killed that giant centipede.
You know, I think you could have just thrown the alchemist's fire.
You believe that's
Well,
correct?
my intent was for them to go over and start chomping on the kobold, and I would throw a second one, and it would explode. But the first one seems to have done the trick nicely.
Well, there's still at least one more down there.
How fortunate I have the second alchemist fire now, isn't it, Mr. Smarty Pants?
I don't think we're going to get another one to come out. I think we've softened them up as much as we can.
Well,
I fought worse, and then he climbs down the ladder.
Elgadir, you climb down the ladder. The smell that I've described to you is incredibly strong in this chamber. It is though the air itself is heavy, and it's almost hard to breathe in. And for a moment, it's like when you're up in the mountains and the air starts to get thin. Maybe you did some high altitude training in your youth. The air here feels instead of thin, it feels thick. Like it's like you're breathing in, almost like you're breathing in like water. Like if you've ever breathed in like really like on a real hot summer day, that's what it
I'm a
feels
man.
like here.
I'm a man who lives in Florida. I am
You
well
understand
aware.
exactly.
I swim to my
98%
mailbox.
Swim to
humidity.
your mailbox. That is exactly right. So that is exactly what this feels like. I'm actually have you make a quick fortitude save for us, please. It's very low. DC,
Fortitude
let's see what
save.
happens.
Let us indeed see what happens. Fortitude save happens to be my best one. 16.
It is a struggle to breathe in, but you manage to steady your breathing. You remember your angry father training you at some point and are able to steady your breathing, and it's just a little bit more labored, but you are otherwise unaffected. You stand in this chamber alone for the time. Nothing rushes out to attack you. It is quiet, save for tiny drips of water somewhere deeper inside, the occasional shifting of the rubble above. You'll hear like a, and you can hear like dirt sliding down, but somewhere like the sediment shifting. But other than that, nothing happens.
And he's got his axe off his shoulders at this point. He's defensive position, like ready, like he can either jab with the end of it or swing it. He's like, I hear things, but I don't see anything yet.
Go ahead, come down next.
Excellent.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's get the melee defense and then the range defense before everybody else comes down.
And I guess right before Rickus is going to go, because the wizard will likely be going after one of us, or just, Lucas is going to put a hand on his shoulder and say, I know you haven't done this before. None of us really have. But he smiles tightly and awkwardly. You'd be surprised what people are capable of when they have to rise to the challenge. You'll be fine.
Yes, I killed my first man when I was 6 years old. It wasn't a fair fight, but fuck it.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. My Uncle Gorch would absolutely love you.
I love me too.
Before?
My favorite part of this is you guys are you're not trying to be quiet at all. It's like running through the first compound, just shooting all the zombies. It's wonderful.
No. Calgador is the guy who kicks in the door and is running around with a shotgun in either hand, like the Gunzerker from Borderlands. Just dun, 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 dun.
Wonderful.
Subtlety is not in his
I
repertoire.
love that.
He has no.
That.
Because on the
Absolutely.
mountains, the wind's blowing, the snow, it's all super loud. You can make
That-
as much noise as possible.
That in and of itself is a form of stealth for the rest of us. He's just one big distraction.
I am begin Operation Meat Shield. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Come on.
The first makes it down. You're fine, Calg. The next one being Gris. You make it down, no issues. It's quiet. You see that just behind you are all landing right where Gris is, right there. That's where you're landing. There is a Iron Maiden just behind you, a ancient torture device, and there are again several beds in here. There's some rubble. You see the white stone areas where the flooring has and the walls have somewhat collapsed in on themselves. But Gris makes it down. Then Rikus makes it down. All these names are interesting and hard. Rikus makes it down. Epius makes it down. Lucas makes it down. You all are standing together here in this moment, and it's quiet, save for the atmospheric descriptors that I've given to you. And what would you all like to do?
Open the Iron Maiden, which is 666, the number of the beast. And we close it, slam it immediately. It's like, what was that?
Do you actually open the Iron Maiden? Because
No,
cool.
no,
I kind
because
of
that
love
would be that. I have a DM who does that. Anytime there's an Iron Maiden, you open it up, and he always just immediately blares another Iron Maiden song from it. And did he just slam it shut before it alerts all the enemies in the area?
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I'd like to ready an arrow
Perfect. Arrow is ready.
on my bow.
Did we get some light? Does either of you have that magic light thing?
Epius his sword is already glowing.
Can you make my thing glow?
No.
Well, fuck you too.
I cannot.
Is you're all
Make a pill for that.
congregating, maybe arguing about different light sources?
Rikus is actually going to take a position between the group and the direction that he saw the other centipede scurry off in. He's paranoid about this giant centipede coming back out to bite him in the ass. So he's
How much additional kobold is there left on the floor here? I mean, I know they took some chomps out of one, but I'm
There's a decent
most
amount
of one, I
kobold left.
imagine.
Yeah. There's a
okay.
decent
I'm
amount.
gonna grab one by the ankle and drag it with us, just because if we see something, we can throw it, and at least it'll buy us a couple seconds of bait.
Yeah.
That's his idea. Like, he's hunted before. He understand. Like, he's hunted dangerous game in the mountains. He understands how it works. We can distract it. Even a second is long enough to get the advantage. So he'll he'll sling it over his shoulders. Kobold blood going on his. He doesn't give a shit.
Everyone make
Epical.
perception checks, please. Perception.
He'll take a
checks.
bath. Perception checks.
Perfectly fine.
How good.
I see through time and space.
oh my god.
This guy just
Jesus.
cannot be stopped.
Christ.
Keep in mind, Calgadir is a man in the mountains, so he's used to caves, tunnels. Like, this is his environment. He's not skilled in it, but it's just that he was
Calgadir
raised in these sort of things.
And Lucas, both of you notice that as soon as Appius's last foot, so he's right foot down, then left foot hits, the temperature in this chamber begins to drop. It is noticeably colder than it was. It's chilly down here. It's damp. It's a basement. But you start to look around and you notice that the walls of this chamber seem to have taken on a kind of, almost a little bit of a dark kind of frosty, like black ice. And as you're breathing, you see just little tiny air crystals. And it would actually be Kelgadir that would hear this. And I think it's funny because he probably hears voices all the time. Kelgadir hears a whisper. It is a whisper, but it is a voice filled with anger. It is a voice filled with contempt. And it says, so you will feel what we have felt. Fuck you and fuck Taldor. As that happens, I need you to make me a quick will save. As the Iron Maiden, the eyes of the Iron Maiden begin to glow.
What is this? What is this Elden Ring bullshit? Okay,
Him or everyone?
Just him. He's the only one.
Okay.
That heard
just
it.
me. So luckily, I took from Familiar Folio, the Bloodline Familiar, because my first level Bloodline power is dog shit, and so because I have the Hedgehog, I get a +2 to my will save. Genius as a barbarian based class.
Let's go.
12.
Kelgadir, you
Yes.
are overcome by the desire to open up the Iron Maiden. Its eyes are red, and as you look at it, everyone would now notice the Iron Maiden is bleeding from its eyes, and the room itself is just frostly, deathly cold, and everyone gets that chill down your spine, and you all start to hear these whispers and cries as though this entire basement is filled with the voices of those that have been locked away for years and years, maybe even forgotten, the cries of agony, pain, of torture. Kelgadir, you lunge towards the Iron Maiden, grabbing onto the handle. Give me a strength check.
Is there anything I can do to try to identify
Yes.
the magic of this sort?
Absolutely. There will be something you can do. And I would like to give everyone else a chance to interrupt him, but Kelgadir, please make the strength check. And if anyone notices this, and I will leave that up to you if you choose to notice this or not. I won't stop you. I'm not going to make you make a roll because Kelgadir has to move past everyone to get to the Iron Maiden.
And he's quick. He does have fast movement. However, I would like to, for the sake of shenanigans, I know I'm invoking the rule of shenanigans, gentlemen, assuming anybody who tries to physically stop him has to do opposed strength because he's a big boy.
That's why I'm having you roll the strength check.
11. Okay. He's compelled, but
Eps will step out of the way.
He's compelled more by there might be a worthy foe that he can kill, less than, he's like, oh, there might be something to kill in here. He's bored. He hasn't killed anything in weeks.
Literal minutes.
Literal minute. Look, if I go too long without killing anything, I get all fidgety.
Gris is trying to ignore the whispers. He's looking for any kind of movement right now.
No.
And
Please let me out. Oh, please. Oh, God. Oh, the pain. I just
I
want to
think-
see. Oh, please.
This
Yeah, I
is
think-
not,
very unsettling.
not my wheelhouse. I'm just soldiering on,
I think
looking for bugs.
Yeah, Epius kind of gestures with an open hand. Anyone?
Rikus
isn't my
will
wheelhouse.
like sort of turn and be like, he'll try to stop
Make
I
a
mean,
opposed
if I-
strength
Okay.
check, please.
I was going to
Ricus.
say if I could make a suggestion, the ranger should try and other people should assist. That's probably your best chance of stopping a 275-pound lad from opening a door.
I think it's interesting that Gris is like, I don't know what's going on. I don't want anything to do
I mean,
with this.
Yeah, you rolled an 11, so we'll see.
yeah, he's rolled an 11, but there you go.
Ricus, you grab
But-
on to.
Listen, Cal, I don't know much about any of this, but I know that statues bleeding from the eyes and whispering is probably not good.
So I like to imagine rather than stopping him, what he does is he jumps on his back and then he causes him to slam his face into the Iron Maiden. He goes, Thong! He's like,
What?
he's stunned for a second. He goes, the fuck happened?
I'm just back there, like you see, he's got like almost like a sleeper on him.
Why are you hugging it? Yeah, like the weak, like weak noodle arms trying to sleep or hug him. He's like, why are you hugging me?
And as he
Is this
says,
some sort of
"Why are you
relationship thing?
hugging me?" The
Why are you
temperature in
hugging
the
me?
room rises back to that kind of mid-level that it was when you originally stepped down here. The whispered voices, the frost on the walls seems to dissipate, but you hear the skittering of way too many legs.
Oh,
And bursting forth from several of the crevices are,
Yes.
well, several giant centipedes. And my friends, we are going to drop into the first official combat. Roll for
Hey.
initiative.
Rakus, while I assume you have some affection for my svelte manly physique, I do not like you in that way. I prefer women. Could you get off my back? Thank you.
Make sure you guys click yourself when you roll your initiative, otherwise it won't add you to the order.
Correct. Initiative. Oh yeah.
Oh, hang on, sorry.
Oh man, I rolled high initiative. That means that my damage is going to be dog shit. That's always how it goes with Pathfinder.
Yeah, I didn't click myself before, but
You have to click your token, and then there's a button on the core page, or actually at the top of your character
yeah,
sheet.
I'd
There's
already
an
rolled it.
IN.
I
Yep.
just you just want me to do it again?
No, what you can do is if you roll it again, then you can click on it on the initiative tracker, and you can actually
Oh, got it.
change it. Yep.
I will
Okay.
forewarn the party. If I roll high initiative, damage is terrible. If I roll low initiative, I'm about to roll some rocks.
Should I use an actual spell this time?
Maybe.
Nah.
I mean, unless it's to buff Calgadir, then yes, definitely you should do that.
Well, the good news is the giant centipedes all
Happy
roll
being a buff
dog
wizard.
shit. So, this
Well,
is
they're
good
not-
for you guys.
They're not very wise, to be fair.
Is everyone in?
I believe
So
we
Calgadir,
are
so.
down to clown.
got Epius, Lucas. Perfect. Everyone is in. First up is none other than the giant axe-wielding barbarian himself, Calgadir.
So Calgadir, upon seeing as all these centipedes, giant centipedes pop up, just and then just frost covers his body and he enters a blood bridge.
Yes.
So
You want us to roll
Uh,
perception there? Or is that a misclick?
Nope. I want everyone to roll perception check, please.
perception for
perception, rather, yeah.
everyone.
So Gris would notice this. You can share it with the group.
Oh.
DC was a 15. So you notice that all of the centipedes, their movements are like in unison. They're in tandem, as though they are being
That's fine.
guided by something. You
Just-
also notice that where their little beady eyes are, there's this kind of black frosty looking color on them that is not normal. So they appear to be maybe possessed? I don't know. But Lucas, I'm actually have you roll a quick knowledge religion check as well on the events that just transpired with the Iron Maiden.
So okay,
Hey, that was a haunt. This place is
that's
haunted. It's like magic, but it's not. It's restless spirits. You've read about this. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you've not. That's up to you to determine. But this place is haunted. There are unruly and unrested spirits in this area.
And would I know anything about how to address that? Or
Positive
just-
energy. So you have the ability to channel positive energy. Can just disrupt those kind of negative energy spirits. But honestly, it's a bit beyond your capabilities. Just strong force of will is likely the best way to overcome this, at least in this present moment.
Luckily, he's with Calgadir.
If you can identify the haunt, you can also identify like
the source
deactivation,
of the haunting. Yeah.
like deactivation parameters and stuff, right?
Well, I'm going to assume that there is actually a corpse inside that Iron Maiden that is actually
There absolutely
locust.
is. Yes.
Skyrim flashbacks.
And I relay what I learned from the giant centipedes to everybody as I'm sitting there ready with my bow.
Brilliant.
Small centipedes, think you together. Yes, yeah, I'll chop them in half regardless.
What would you like to do, Calgadir?
Calgadir would. I'm trying to see. I don't get that. So Calgadir, as an out of character thing, has a interesting drawback called overprotective due to his past, which you will learn about. But he feels the need to protect the weakest of the party, who he perceives as Rikus, because he has not faced combat before. So he is going to move and ready an action. If that centipede gets within 5-foot range, he's going to chop.
Chop attack. I love it. Perfect.
So he is trying to protect Rikus because he perceives him as the weak one.
Rikus, you are apparently the weak one. What do you do?
To the Blood Rager, you are the weak one because you have not seen combat.
Right.
So you are a liability.
Yes, thank you. So I think Rikus will misinterpret what Calgadir is trying to do, and say, okay, he's going to cover this side. I have to move, across the way and sort of form a defensive line on the other side. So Rikus will actually move past Grizz and sort of set his shield and ready in action to attack the first centipede that comes within range of him.
Perfect. I love it. Algadir, your charge has run off. He's charged away, unfortunately.
Imagine he gets in front of him, he gets his excellent. All right, let's go. And then he hears something, he's like,
Where'd he go?
And I think, with that, Rikus says, good idea, I'll cover this side.
That's brilliant. Next up is Gris. You are good to go, my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna just shoot that guy right there.
Do it.
Ranger's going to shoot a man. Economy shocked. What?
I don't believe it.
Preposterous. I've never seen such a thing.
You should have an attack macro, I believe.
There
you
you
go.
go. Ooh.
That is a nat 20 on the attack.
Nice.
Go ahead and re-roll. Oh no, wait. Is the 4
It
is that the confirmed?
Yeah.
So on the bottom column, the right side is the crit damage. So you add the both together, and you have 10 damage.
But what he's saying is the confirm
What's
because
the confirm roll?
Oh, the confirm's the top right. Yeah, you definitely didn't confirm that.
So you strike that creature true, and as your arrow, it kind of lodges into one of the chitinous kind of plates on the centipede. The centipede lets out this kind of noise, but it does not go down. It looks angry, and its eyes glow a little bit darker, a little bit blacker, and you see almost like black flames kind of coming out of its beady eyes.
Yeah, I was going to say what Joe said. It appears when you rolled, it did not add your attack modifier. Not that it would have changed the outcome, but make sure you have your attack mod in the attack macro thing so that it adds your stats to your roll.
Where do I get my attack modifier?
Off of your sheet. I can send it to you again if you would like, Zeb.
Do that. While you guys are working on that, the centipede's going to charge forward, activating Atomic's ready to action with his great axe. Can he hit an AC 14?
Can you hit AC 14? I don't know, but power attack's on, baby, because I don't half-ass two things. I
Go
whole
big or
ass
go
one
home,
thing.
baby. Let's go.
Yes!
Boom! So as the centipede quickly scurrying over the first bed, under the second bed, and literally it rears up, lunging towards Gris. Its mandibles wide, going straight for the neck. You just watch as Atomic just Calgadir just chops it in half, and as it's severed in twain, the insides just splatter into your chest, Gris, and you are covered in nasty, disgusting giant centipede gore. It's so nasty. A little bit got in your mouth. Your mouth was open. A little bit got in your mouth.
Oh God! Oh, I can taste it. Oh God!
Sorry, not sorry, as they say.
That was delightful.
You'll get used to the taste.
This
And
one,
then he just
seeing its opportunity, will rush over towards Kelgadir and is going to attempt to bite him. Does I think a 23 hits.
23 does indeed hit.
23 does indeed hit. So as you are distracted, chopping this one in half that was running towards Kelgadir, you hear it, and as you look to your left, you see it scurry along the ground, and then it just bites onto your upper calf, its mandibles piercing into you and pumping you full of this nasty, very, very venomous poison. And I need you to make a quick fortitude save.
He's just punching it in the face. Get off me!
Also take
22, baby.
4 points of damage as well, but you resist its
Four
poison,
whole points of
which
damage.
is good. This one here will rush forward towards Rikus, and your ready to action goes off. You may make an attack roll against it. 15 for 8. As it lunges forward, are you wielding it one-handed or two-handed, your sword?
One-handed with the
Brilliant.
shield.
So as it lunges forward, you manage to bring your shield up. It strikes the shield, and as it is grabbing onto the shield, you bring it around, putting it through your shield, and sever it in half. And both halves, not being bisected, but just cut in half. Its bottom half falls. The other half is still in your shield, and you're able to shove it to the side. But you have slain that giant centipede as well. Next up is the centipede here. Very similar to the other flank, this plan is going brilliantly. It's happening as though mirrored images on both sides. Takes a step forward and does indeed go for...
Sorry, I forgot that was a one-click macro. I normally have to prep them.
What is your AC, Rikus? I believe it's more than a...
18.
Yes, so it lunges forward. You bring that shield around, blocking it, and you just hear the way too many legs on the shield, like the pitter-patter of rain.
Oh.
It's just horrible. Oh, it makes me all... Ugh, it's nasty.
It's
I
like
wish it didn't have-
rain on a tin roof, is how I heard
Yes.
it once described.
I really wish it didn't have so many legs.
Epius.
Would you like me to re-roll that? Like I said, I normally
No,
prep my macros.
absolutely not.
Okay.
That's totally fine. If you want to use that for your attack, tell me who
Yep.
you're killing.
The one at the top left, 6 damage.
Perfect. As it's on your shield, you watch as this great sword flies around, stabs into its side, continues flying, buries it into the wall, and then reappears back in Epius's hand. And that is another slain centipede. Lucas, you're up next.
So seeing that those two have been finished off, I guess he's going to just spin and move slightly to get a better angle on those
So there's an
existing creatures.
action called a 5-foot step. I
Okay.
would suggest you activate that. You can 5-foot step to here, and you've got a perfect line of sight up to that one right there, if that's the one you want to shoot.
Okay, then that is exactly what I will do.
Yep. So you can always 5-foot step and then perform a 4-round action. Always. So you can also perform a 5-foot step if you were threatened by another creature.
So as
Without
you
taking an
shoot
attack.
at this creature, you watch as the arrow appears to be flying true, and then similarly to what happened before, something seems to deviate, like that happened to the great sword. It is as though there's something protecting the centipede, and the arrow just veers off, just barely missing the centipede. It's very strange. Next up is Rikus.
I mean, didn't I already went, didn't I?
You took a ready to action. Now it's your actual turn.
Oh, good
Yeah.
lord. Yeah. That's right. That's correct. Well, I think Rikus will move up to here. No, it would be here. To assist Kalgadir.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'll take a swing at this guy.
Beautiful. Go for it.
All right.
Oh, you know what, Rikus? Never mind. You were actually in the turn order twice. Go ahead and
Oh,
move yourself
all
back.
right.
That's totally on me. My bad.
Okay, I
just realized I was like, maybe you did have to. I was very confused.
That was a little confusing for me.
Yeah, I was a little confused too. Yeah.
I
So
was-
this
I
one's
was
just
thinking
gonna
the same
move
thing.
I was
in.
like, this isn't like
And-
3.5.
Oh my god, Kalgadir, you are possibly getting crit by this centipede. It does not confirm. That's good. Give us
Okay.
another fortitude save, please.
The fortitude save. Oof.
Poison what? You take 1 damage. It barely nicks you. It's mostly you kicking it away. We are at the top of round 2.
He sucks the poison out of his own wound and just delicious.
Delightful. Your turn,
Delightful.
actually, Calgadir.
My turn. This Caligadir is brought to you by Viking Blood, Dinlock's finest.
Lord have
Okay.
mercy.
Lord have mercy. Look, it was the only thing they had at the liquor store, and I wasn't gonna turn. I was braiding my beard anyway. Okay. Calgadir gonna smash.
The dedication.
To be fair,
to
it's a pretty
character.
well-reviewed mead.
It's pretty good. Like, it was one of my 3, but it happened to be the only one they had with hibiscus and hops. It's can confirm. Calgadir approved. It is pretty good. As a bourbon man, I approve. Okay. Why does it? Okay, that's weird. Every time I switch back to my attacks tab, it keeps like expanding all of the drop-down menus, which is kind of weird. But I'll figure that out later. All right, I'm gonna smash the one directly to my north. That's the one that just bit me.
Mm-hmm.
Which one just bit me?
Both of them bit you, actually. But the one that
Okay,
just bit
well-
you was the one right above you.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have cleave, so I will hit the one directly to my north.
Yet.
Yet. Did that?
You guys are doing really well so far.
I click the. There it goes. Oh, that's not great.
You swing down on the centipede, but as you swing down, its body appears to, not of its own volition, but almost as though someone grabs its center, pushes it to the side, and your sword
Ew.
strikes the stone, and there's a flash as the stone sparks at the strike of your great
Wacky
axe.
waving arm inflatable centipede.
Wacky waving article inflatable Quentin Generico. That was
I was hoping you would make that reference.
it's canon.
Thanks to a garbled sending spell, I'm currently overstocked on.
Jesus Christ.
That's good.
Off the rails.
That's great. Okay, that's funny. All right, I'm not usually amused, but you, sir.
I gotta get myself back in the combat. This is scary. It's very threatening. There's ghosts, but no. Rikus, it is now actually your turn.
All right. Well, same deal as before. He's going to move up to Calgadir, and he's going to take a swing at this
Garbled
boy.
Sending spell. I'm currently overstocked. Rise of the Room Lords, day 2. That's gotta happen at some point.
Oh my God, please. Look, I would love to have a Rise of the Room Lords, but like 6 months or like a year later when they've expanded to like a full-sized warehouse, like doing pallet auctions or something.
Yeah.
Please let that
it's
happen.
Like a what is it when you buy a like you can buy like a restaurant? You buy like it's franchise. You franchised. Right?
We franchised
So
out,
it's a
or
whole
like
different group franchising. It's good.
we've expanded into like we buy
Rikus,
like storage
with your
units.
14. I'd like you to describe to me how you kill this centipede.
All right, cool.
Well, I can tell you that it looks like that actually should be an 8 because it looks like it, for whatever reason, on this one it added in as though I was wielding the longsword two-handed.
Damage
so
is still enough to kill it.
Okay. Well, I will. Yeah, almost. So maybe this is like perturbing for Calgadir, but yeah, Rikus runs over and no, almost like in a strange inversion, he just yells, "Hold on, Cal!" And he'll just like slice, just like chop it or stab it through the face or
Stabs
whatever,
between his legs, and he goes, "Whoa there!
Yeah,
Little close to the jewels, my man."
Lord have mercy.
I missed him by a mile.
Gris, you are up next.
I'm gonna shoot that one.
The last.
The last one.
Do you,
All
have,
right.
do you have precise shot?
I believe he does.
We're gonna assume he does until proven otherwise.
He does.
Always take precise shot over point blank shot first every time.
100%.
Well, I mean, one's a prereq for the other.
Okay. I'm
Oh,
gonna
that's
do
right. That's right. You're right.
This is just my base attack bonus, right? Added to this.
Nope. You add your dex as well.
Yeah, it's your base
longbow should be
attack
+4.
plus your dexterity bonus.
Okay. So
So it should be like 1 plus, I don't know, 2 or 3 or whatever your.
Yeah,
whatever
you're
your
gonna
dex
look
bonus is.
under your weapons just to see what your weapon bonus is for each weapon. Like it's towards the bottom of the first sheet.
okay. So my attack bonus.
What's your dex?
It doesn't matter. He has a weapon bonus.
Hmm.
But why do you not want to work? There.
You fire. You think your arrow is flying true, but it once again seems to waver out of the way, similar to the way I described it to Lucas.
I think that's the first time that Gris has missed, so I'm very...
Doesn't happen. This centipede,
I do this.
it appears to freeze in place for a moment. And then the room starts to get colder. And then those whispers begin to return. And all of the dead centipede bodies start to writhe and twist and pivot around as though they are having convulsions. And you watch as they all turn to black smoke. And this final centipede doubles in size
Oh,
and looks
Is that-
very
I didn't-
angry.
I didn't know they could do that.
And as you
Fuck
watch it, you
me.
see there are these black, shadowy wisps writhing around it. You see faces of humans and elves and dwarves in this black, shadowy mist, all of them in different versions and different expressions of agony and pain and sorrow and turmoil. And as the centipede grows in size, it then... That's its whole turn, because that takes its whole turn to do that. But it's scary, I guess. Next up is... Epius.
Epius says, I'm not going to be having any of that.
Kill him
And
fire.
and he casts sleep back here. If it has more than 4 hit dice, it doesn't need to save. If it does have less than 4 hit dice, give me a DC 16 will save.
All right. Let's see if it can make that will save.
Well, this is as soon as this thing goes big, Calgadir grabs Rikus by the arm and goes, "Well, pop your cherry yet, my good man." And
I
then
love
goes,
that the unintelligent centipede is plus 4 will. Love it.
Jesus Christ.
Lucas, there's a big centipede there, and it looks angry.
Big boy.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to cast Shield of Faith on Calgadir.
Yes.
Perfect. You'd 5-foot step to here, cast Shield of
Yep.
Faith. Yeah. Kelgadir, a kind of translucent aura. You see it for a moment, like it's kind of like a sheen, like a flare of light appears around you, and you feel a little harder to hit.
He looks down and he sees like a almost like a steel breastplate like of energy just formed around him. He goes, "What is this?" Because he has no idea what steel armor is. He's used to leather. It's like, this feels
beautiful
enticing.
red rose on the center of the breastplate as well.
Yes, yes. Calgadir
This
could get used to
centipede is
this.
dead, and we are now at the top of turn 2, and Kelgadir!
Calgadir!
Can he hit it?
Can he hit it?
Great axe.
All right, let me double check, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I don't think so. Barbarians are pretty good.
I believe.
Oh, I actually have an additional +1 to my will save I wasn't aware of. Fantastic. All right, cool. Yeah, no, it's +2. He's gonna Calgadir gonna smash or chop. Power attack because I'm not a bitch, and let's go 20.
For 15, you
For
slash
15
into
damage.
the center of this centipede, carving into its midsection the carapace, these kind of like chitinous plates, crack, 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 crack. Green and black ooze begins to spill out onto the floor, and it feels like a kill shot, but the thing does not go down. Instead of a scream, it roars, filling the chamber with this cacophonous roaring that echoes off the walls. I need everyone to make a quick will save for us, please.
Make will save, as I just learned, it's got a +1. I haven't had time to add it to the sheet
Looking
yet.
for a
but
DC 12 on this. DC 12.
12.
And
20.
if you fail, you are shaken for 1 round. Shaken for 1 round, which is a -2 to basically all things that you do. A -2 for
Yeah.
1 round, you are shaken.
Is it bad that shaken? I'm like, yeah, shaken. Nauseated? I'm like, fuck.
Rikus, you're up next.
Yeah, Rikus is going to move up with Calgadir.
As Rikus is
and
taking his turn, Lucas,
swing.
you know how you made that knowledge religion check? You can hear kind of like a shaking, what sounds like bones from inside of the Iron Maiden. It's like the clattering of bones from inside that Iron Maiden. 12 is a hit for 10 damage. Once again, it looks like that should be a kill shot, and the creature just keeps going.
it isn't dying.
Hit it harder. Put your back into it.
Gris, you're up next.
I shoot it.
Seven is actually a hit. And you deal it 12 damage. Yeah, this thing should be dead. It's not dying. It's still going. Its insides are cut. Its guts are spilling onto the floor. It is just roaring, and those black wisps are getting more and more intense. The whispering, that cacophonous kind of roar of sorrow and pain is just rising up inside this chamber. It's becoming so loud that you can't even hear yourselves think. And again, all of you are now hearing the clattering of bones from inside of that Iron Maiden.
Suppose anybody has consecrate.
What'd you like to do, Gris?
I need to get a little bit of distance, I feel.
Why? He
From
wants
this
to be your
thing.
friend.
Nah, big bug. No, thank you. It's got a lot of legs. I'm gonna move.
It does
I'm
have
gonna
a lot
take
of
five-
legs.
I'm
I'm
gonna
missing
take a
half
5
of them right now, but they're still
Yeah.
writhing.
I'm gonna take a 5-foot step back and just pretty much
What is
to anybody
this?
just.
A crypt for ants?
So it's not dying. Anybody got any other ideas?
Can I identify
Magic?
the haunt?
Magic? Perhaps? Magic? Magic? Anyone? Oh, just hit it harder.
Well, we're hitting it as hard as we can, and it's still looking at us like it wants to eat us for lunch.
You call that as hard as you can. Yeah, it's hard. It's as a player, I'm like, I don't think anybody like. I mean, obviously, it's like, okay, the Iron Maiden, but what the fuck do we do about it? Huh.
I mean, all I've got is
Cool.
channel energy. So
The shot.
yeah.
I
Hey,
mean,
Lucas,
positive energy.
give us
It's-
another knowledge religion check.
I mean, he did say that positive energy might do something. So I mean, go for it, right?
Everybody hold hands and sing.
Oh, I can't carry a tune.
Heavy metal. Wait, what? Kumbaya.
Positive
What the
energy
fuck
might
is
work. Maybe, I don't know. Worth a shot.
that? Fuck it. Why not?
What's the worst thing that happens? Channel to harm undead. That'll probably fix it.
Well, none of us are undead, so we're good to go. Yet.
Very true.
It is still Gris's turn. What'd you like to do, Gris?
Well, I've already shot it, and it's not doing anything. I've taken-
Cry a lot. The
Well-
giant centipede looks down. Its insides, you watch as these chitinous, almost rib-like protrusions start to extend out as though they are tendrils. And from
Great.
inside of the core of this giant centipede, you see what appears to be a swirling green and viscous vortex. And that vortex starts to build up, and you see what looks like a torrent of acidic blood and viscera is about to burst forth. But you do still have some time. Epius.
I would like to try and identify the parameters of the haunt using knowledge religion.
Go for it.
Wow. All right. He's gonna 5-foot step over here.
Lucas.
If I take a 5-foot step over here, am I actually in range to open the
Yes,
or touch the?
You absolutely are.
Okay. Then clutching onto the sort of wooden rose symbol on his that's hanging from his throat, he's going to sort of stumble to his left, and then would I have the chance to? No, I guess I'm just going to use my aura or my channel energy. So in that
Channel.
30-foot range, channel positive energy. Trying to focus, like obviously that's not mechanical, but focusing it on that Iron Maiden.
You may do so. Go ahead and roll a d6. Now, are you simultaneously opening the Iron Maiden? That's my question.
If I can do so,
I
well,
would say absolutely yes.
yes.
As you get to the Iron Maiden, the sound of the clattering bones intensifies, and it sounds like you've literally got like a bunch of dice in a cup, like you're playing Yahtzee, and it's just clanking around. It's so loud, the whispers of the pain and the sorrow and the torment and the cries of "I wish to have freedom." Sounds like you're in Andorian or something like that, Andoran. But as you open the gate, or the Iron Maiden, you see inside a fully composed, like a science class skeleton. The mouth opens wide, and there's a mirrored image of the black vortex that is in the center of this horrific centipede. As you grab onto the holy symbol of Belhaim, you feel the golden glow, this positive energy flow forth from the symbol into your hands, and you lift it high, and this plume, this aura of golden energy and white light plumes out. As it strikes the skeleton, you see the skeleton forming over it, the ghostly image of what appears to be a human male that is in great pain and great sorrow. But as it strikes him, that human male fades away, turning to ash. The bones clatter to the ground, and the giant centipede turns to ash. And that, my friends, is the end of that combat. The room goes silent. You hear dripping water, the ground around you, sediment shifting. But other than that, you are left alone and quiet in this moment.
So immediately after it gets dead quiet, Calgadir pats Rikus on the back. Ha! You're not a virgin anymore.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah, I no longer consider you the weak link of the party. Well done. You survived.
I guess I did. And
That's not bad. I mean, you didn't even lose any fingers.
We all
Yeah,
made
good.
it out alive, just wiping guts off of it.
Every time you wipe, it feels like it's mostly just smearing it. It's just getting worse and worse, Chris. Like, you're
Oof.
not
Yeah.
actually getting it off.
You're going to need alcohol to clean that off. Trust me.
Fire to get this off.
Possibly. I mean, I speak from experience. Viscera, not great. Insect viscera. It's just, you're probably better off just burning the armor, for honest. It's just, you never get the smell out. It's like cat
Appius will
piss.
prestidigitate Gris clean to save him the.
Takes 2 castings of prestidigitation. No, I'm
Ew.
kidding. It's really bad.
There's that much stank.
It's
that
so
it
bad.
takes it takes 2 whole castings.
Yeah.
I
But
told you, you never
again,
get it
there
out.
is a couple of small humanoid bones that don't get completely turned to ash from your positive energy that you cast, Lucas. But again, the haunt, those whispers, the cold air, the black kind of ice that was forming on the walls, the frostiness in the air seems to have, at least for now, dissipated. And again, gives you a chance to all of you to explore this chamber for a few moments.
Appius will do the normal sweep of detect magic and assume the haunt gone. There's not anything left.
As you sweep the room, over in the rubble, there appears to be a kind of chest of some kind off to the right-hand side here to the east. You do pick up some faint ores of magic over there.
Alright, he'll wander over and check that out.
yeah, I think while he's doing that, Rikus is going to look around the room, probably in vain, but for any sign of the mayor's missing husband.
Yeah.
No one in here at this point.
Yeah, Calgadir just kind of sits down and is breathing heavily. Like you see the frost that was on his skin kind of go away. Like maybe his runic tattoos kind of like they kind of go darker again. You know, he's just like seems winded for a second. He's like, oh, I catch my breath. Pulls out a flask. He just takes a nice swig of mead and he's just like, nothing like killing something to make your day.
Perfect. And as Calgadir is doing that, Rikus, you are somewhat in vain searching the room. Give us a perception check, please.
Oh, that's not good. Or could it be great?
It depends on what you.
I believe in you.
click.
Yeah.
It's adequate. You find that there are musty, rotten beds. There's actually several of them in this chamber. But you also do find that there are a couple of It's a low check. They're pretty obvious. The ground here is covered in kind of dirt and muck and old, like, just nastiness. You find some footprints, humanoid footprints, at least humanoid size, medium creature size, that lead from where you were. They're kind of splotched with all of your walking you've done, but there's a set of footprints that lead to this door just to the south here. There are footprints. Yeah.
Does he
But
tell the
with
others?
that being said, I'd like to know what Lucas is doing in this moment as well.
I guess still clutching onto that holy symbol, he's going to be investigating the Iron Maiden. Other than those few remaining bones, is there anything inside of it?
Perception check.
Just working my way through this character sheet as it's loading.
Yeah, this is.
There we go. It's
Hey,
one of the-
Lucas. On the inside of the Iron Maiden, there are, of course, these horrific spikes, and obviously whoever was in here died horribly. But on the inside of the Iron Maiden, so if you open it, there's the interior there, and then there's the door side of it. On that door side, there is a word written in, do you speak Abyssal?
I do not. I speak Celestial.
There's a word written in a strange language that you don't understand. Do you have linguistics as a skill?
I do not, but I do have a party. So as he's sort of, twisting his head to examine that from various different angles, he's then going to look over at Epius and just call over, Epius.
Yeah. What?
Do you have a moment?
He
there's
pulls his
there's
head out of
something
his
here.
chest. Oh,
If you have a moment,
yeah, he'll trundle over.
I think whatever poor soul was in here, and he gestures at the room, probably out here as well, might have left a final message.
He'll look at the writing and compare it to the many languages that he speaks, which none of which are abyssal, sadly.
It appears to have been carved into the metal with, like, fingernails. And it's slightly dried blood is stained on it too.
And you said you would like a linguistics?
Yes, or if you speak Abyssal.
I'm sorry. I'm just
I don't.
imagining the Monty Python scene.
I'll name 11.
It's,
Rolled a 2.
You know it's Abyssal, but you don't know what it says.
It's abyssal, but it's not among my repertoire of the words in that language. If I could consult a library, I could probably find out what it means, but
If you want
Not
to
here.
if you want to write it down, sketch it, you can save it for later.
I was actually going to say exactly that. I'll take out a quill and an inkwell and just copy that down.
Did he inform us about the tracks that he
So
found?
we're gonna get to
I was
that.
actually
We're gonna get to
Okay.
that. I just want to know what Gris is doing as this is all going on.
Gris is just kind of, I don't want to say Overwatch, but he's just kind of watching what everybody else is doing, seeing where
Perception
he needs to be. He's a
check.
little freaked out.
Perception check on the doorway, because that's the only way deeper into the cavern. Just more dripping, shifting of sediment. Maybe there's a slight rumble. The ground shakes every so often. Dust falls, but other than that, nothing else. And then Epius, I believe you were still looking. So I'd like to pivot over to Epius just for a moment. Epius, you find a small, slightly cracked little like chest you'd put on a nightstand, and there's two pretty not strong but moderately powerful magical auras coming from inside there.
do either of them suggest a trap if I open it?
They do not. They suggest an item of significance, perhaps, inside this chest.
Then he'll bring it to the group's attention and pop open the lid.
There are two very finely crafted mithril daggers inside. They appear to be enchanted as well.
Ooh.
Can I determine what they do?
These are +1 mithril daggers.
Use them for stabbing a man, silly.
They also appear to be... Their hilts appear to be key-like in nature as well.
That's valuable.
With that in mind, he say, I don't think any of us use daggers. We'll kind of slip them into a bag. I'll make sure we all get our share of this later. And if they come up later, hopefully we actually get out with them. If the keyhole doesn't eat them.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get them out.
Now,
Trust me.
pivoting back to Rikus, you've noticed these footsteps, and then I just wanted to give everyone a moment to kind of interact with the scene. We bring you all back together, and you may now, obviously, please converse as a group.
Yeah, I think at that point, Rikus will specifically call it to Gris and say, "Gris, come here. What do you make of these? They look like footfalls of somebody wearing boots. Perhaps a sign of our missing husband."
Well, I don't see anything that would say there's a body been down here for 6 months. So I think this is the only lead we have. Unfortunately, that means we got to go deeper into this, though. So
Say that like it's a bad thing.
Lucas, what did you do to cause that? Was just opening the Iron Maiden stop the centipedes, or what was that?
Yeah.
Shaman
No,
magic.
not shaman magic. It's Milani's grace.
It's a fancy way to say shaman magic.
It was wonderful. You
Things were barbaric, but this is a place of torture. He gestures over at the Iron Maiden, of horrors. There were the unquiet dead residing here.
Mm.
What is a place like this doing here?
Maybe
I want to consult the historical records of the town.
a burial ground of the past wardens of the tower, perhaps, or maybe.
It's a wizard's tower. Why would a wizard need a torture room?
I don't think this is Hunclay's tower. I think this is a tower that was here.
Probably inherited. Maybe who knows? Wizards are weird.
I don't see why Hunclay would let the nobleman poke around his own tower if he still lived.
This tower has been collapsed for
they said it was ancient.
hundreds of years. Exactly.
Knowledge history.
Well, they didn't
They
it just fall
inherited
over
the
today?
problems. Maybe they just shut it away with that fancy door.
So
Ignored
this
it.
tower is from, as I described at the beginning of our session, Taldor used to be a sprawling empire that went from, one side of the inner sea all the way to the other. It was like the Roman Empire in our own history, and this tower was likely at one point a part of their defense network. And these towers were usually commanded by some sort of powerful wizard or arcane caster who was like maybe a general of some kind. And what do you do in military towers? Occasionally you have dungeons where you put prisoners of war. So perhaps that's what this was for. That's what you would know, Epius.
Do we know if there's a dwarf in the town? Look, I'm not being racist, but dwarves are pretty good about telling how old things are, stone related. Anyone? Just me?
Cal
Okay.
is doing this.
Oh, you're
breaking up there, Zeb.
You're breaking up a little bit, Zeb.
Can I see if
You're back.
Oh,
You're back.
am I back?
You're
Or-
back. You're back. You're good, man.
okay. Can I check the tracks to see if he's wounded at all? Like,
Yeah, give us
Or
a
is it
survival
just-
check. That's a great idea. I love that.
I am trained in survival. I would like to assist.
Absolutely.
Galgadir has tracked enough things through the mountains.
Would like to use profession
Galgadir
merchant.
assists.
Beautiful. So between the two of you, you determined two things. Whoever this person was, they were walking with perfect pacing. Just 2 feet, 2 feet, every single step. And whatever boots they were wearing were very finely crafted. There's actually an inscription on the bottom of the boots, and you can actually read the name. And it actually says Hunclay.
How convenient.
The guy's arrogant enough that he wants to leave tracks and wants to leave his signature wherever he was. This guy's
These so-called nobles are just dicks. I mean, and a chieftain,
Yes.
if a chieftain wore some boots and then decided to be an asshole, I'd challenge him to single combat and kill his ass.
Yes, unfortunately, most nobles have retinues of guards that will prevent you from doing exactly that, although I agree with the sentiment.
Wait, isn't Hunclay the wizard?
yes.
Call us uncivilized.
Hunclay is the wizard.
Is the wizard a noble as well?
Depends on how powerful the wizard is.
I I do not know of his line. I've never heard of him before.
Wait, so out of character coverage. So the mayor's, what was the mayor's last name?
Her last name.
Oregana.
Oregana.
Yeah. Oregana. Okay. So Hunclay. Okay. So it's the wizard. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Balthus Hunclay is the wizard.
Hunclay is the local wizard who is
Hedge wizard.
Just a guy, and he owns a manor here, and he dicks
Yeah,
around in this tower.
Yeah,
that's it.
So it's not uncommon. I mean, it's not surprising to see if we. I mean, obviously we knew that. Obviously, I'm drinking, but we've put two and two together. It's like, okay, why? Well, wizards track down here are not, we're not surprised if we know that he come down here. Then we knew he's come down here before, but
but here's the thing: his tracks are coming in.
Yeah, but they're not going out.
They're not going out. So
yeah, for sure,
he's
So he's still in here probably, and he's not answering his door.
That's
so
why he's not answering his door. I would imagine.
Yeah. I'm sure we've all put that together.
So then that means we have two people that have been lost to this tower.
Right, but only
They've
one
both
that
gone
we're
it
actually
alone.
being paid to find.
Who cares about the wizard? He's a dick.
I care about the wizard.
Well,
He
That's
also
on
is
you.
rich enough to own a
Epius
mansion.
cares about his spell books.
Epius cares about his spell books. He was an
Look,
instructor at his wizard college. Yes.
we all know the wizard never cares about the wizard because then they just get all of his shit. That's the way it works. It's the rules of inheritance. It saves you a lot of trouble and a lot of gold.
Lord have mercy. Lord have
Do-
mercy.
Wow.
Having taken this wizard's course at the capital, Opara, I believe is the capital. Yeah, Opara.
Okay.
Do I know like what order of spells he's capable of casting, or is he pretty reclusive?
So he's very reclusive, but I'm going to allow you a knowledge arcana check.
Oh, that was not the right button.
Spell stuff.
That is spell stuff. That is, I'm in close combat and need to cast a spell.
You know
anyways.
what? He was actually he actually did some teaching at the school prior to you being there at the wizard school in Opera. But his school of magic, you just can't remember what he specialized in.
Okay.
Sorry, GM. Did you say how old those tracks were?
They look fresh, likely within maybe the day. They're very fresh. I mean, that was a very good roll. They happened earlier today, like prior to the tower falling, probably.
I don't like that.
So the wizard was in here.
Is it?
Tower fell. We have kobolds. Is in here.
He knows
We have
we're in there.
kobolds. We have what did you say it was a hunt? We have that,
Well, we
and we
fixed
have
that
big
one.
bugs. Well, we
Centipedes.
yes, but I'm just
He knows we're here, and he's likely hurrying and doing whatever he's trying to do.
Or
Because that alarm spell was almost definitely his.
That makes a
Or-
lot of sense.
to counterpoint, he just made himself some sort of apparition, invisible, whatever, and then just stuck his way past. That's what I would do. Why bother with all the trouble when you could just sneak your way past? And then just let those things you snuck your way past deal with anyone following you.
That
Not-
doesn't mean he's not here, and that doesn't mean that alarm spell wasn't his.
I
We
mean,
should
what
get moving.
true, but I mean, Occam's razor or
Past-
whatever the humans call it.
Past experiences taught me that you don't sneak past things, though, Cogadier. And well, that's all.
You've never hunted a bear in the mountains, my man.
No,
This should
I've
take you
never.
some time. It'd be fun. 9 out of 10 times they detect you before you detect them. It's what makes it so difficult. We usually lose a man. That man would probably be you.
Anyways, like I said, we should move if he knows we're here, and if he's going to react to our presence. If you set an alarm behind him, he's likely not going to be very friendly.
I mean, when are they ever? I've only met one wizard. Never mind.
I've only met one wizard who is not an asshole, and I believe. Look, I'm not sure what a wizard is, but I believe there's one in our party. Whichever one of you it is, you're all shaman to me as far as I'm concerned.
Epius waves his book.
you're a simple man, Kyle. You're a
Look.
simple man.
I kill, I fuck, I drink. I enjoy life.
I've seen him do
Um,
two of those three things.
Simultaneously? Yikes.
Actually, yes, he did kill and drink in this very room.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I have killed and drank in this very room. I have drunken. Well, it's look. Who broke the bed?
There is an iron door to your south. As you all are arguing amongst each other about was it killing or fucking that Calgadir just did in this chamber. But as you watch and you see that the footsteps move, and you can see that the dust and grime on the floor, it appears the door opens from left to right. So it's on a hinge. You can see the giant iron hinges, and it looks like it has been recently opened as the dust and grime on the floor is disturbed. But you see that this door does appear to have a dagger-like keyhole.
Convenience.
Well, let's pull these daggers and see which one works on it.
Should we check to see if the door there's some form of magic on the door itself?
I already looked through the room. There's nothing in the room.
No magic
Okay.
on the door. However, a perception check on the door might not be a bad idea.
What about more mundane deterrence?
It's fine.
It's a
Chris.
door.
It's a door.
It's a door. I like that door.
Perfectly
That's a
safe.
nice
It's a
door.
nice door.
It's a
Take
nice
care of women.
door.
It's no dark wood ladder, but it's
All right,
pretty
let
nice.
me hold up. I was sorry, I'm bullshitting.
Yes, this is indeed a door. Fine
You
craftsmanship.
see nothing
I've seen it such before.
nefarious. No traps along on this door right now.
Calgadir convinces you all that it is a fine door, and there's nothing wrong with it, and we could probably resell it to a furniture reseller for quite a bit of money if we manage to get it out of that tiny hole.
This is with you 100%.
We take the adamantine doors off the hinges. We go home. Fuck the Tomb of Horrors.
Yeah,
Right? That's how we do it.
We can sell them to the room lords.
But you actually they do what's the thing where you can sell your clothing? Consignment. They do consignment.
Consignment,
Yeah.
Look, I happen to have an in with the tiefling at the room lords. I'm sure we
With
can make a
that
good deal.
Being said, you take a moment and you realize that there's a blue dagger and a red dagger. And the blue dagger is the one that opens it. It fits in the blade. It turns the door clicks, and the blade removes, and you get to keep the dagger. I know, surprising. It doesn't like trap the dagger and it shatters into a million pieces.
2 + 1 weapons in a first level
I
adventure.
know,
Who
it's
would
like-
do that?
Look,
What
look.
madness
You
is
could
this?
you couldn't leave a dagger hanging out of the door. That would be an OSHA violation.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Yeah.
Respect the rules of safety.
I'll
That's
take
all
them
I'm saying.
from you later. Don't worry.
I bet you will, you son of a bitch.
You dirty bastard.
Only for a hefty sum,
But-
you son of a
As
bitch.
you open the door, it slides open. There's no scraping, there's no creaking, but as you open the door, you hear from somewhere deeper in the cave the sounds of tiny, high-pitched voices from this dungeon, and they're echoing through the chambers. And does anyone speak kobold?
Kobold or draconic?
I don't speak kobold as much as I speak
Kobolds speak
future
draconic, by the way.
future
That's-
dead
oh,
tiny
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
I speak
so
draconic.
a lot of people anyone that doesn't speak kobold, they simply hear and then you hear 2 kobolds arguing with each other about what to do with the wizard. And as that wafts over to you, that, my friends, is where we're going to end tonight's session. Because I think that's a nice little cliffhanger there.
Hey.
Oh, boom! It's a Dear Wolf game. There's got to be a cliffhanger. Come on, that's like my MO. There you go. But I thought you all did an absolutely fantastic job. This is such an interesting and eclectic group. I had no idea what to expect. Zeb, I just want to say thank you so much for joining in. It's so nice to be able to run a game for you. We play Hunt together all the time. It's fun to have you in an RPG. And I'm very excited to see where this adventure goes. Matthew, what did you think of your first Pathfinder story so far?
I'm still going to need some time to get used to it because I think I've also mentioned I've never really played a fantasy game before either. So it's a bit of a learning curve there. But
Do you want to
I'm
come back
always
still?
appreciative, Wolf, of your GMing.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Sounds like you'll come back for session 2. You're not going to abandon us and block me on Discord, is what I'm hearing from you.
Well, I wouldn't tell you that.
Oh,
the purpose
okay.
of
There it
ghosting.
is. Yeah, that's true. That's
you
true.
know.
That's true. Atomic, I want to say your character is delightful. I
So-
loved being in character.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
I'm trying to play the boisterous, cheerful blood rager, or barbarian essentially, without going too far. Tonight was brought to you by Viking Blood, Danish hibiscus mead.
Delightful.
So
Danish.
there was a little, yes, it is Danish. So there was a little bit more than normal because I've learned that mead hits you slowly. It's a slow burn compared to bourbon,
And
which
then
kind
when
of
it hits you,
punches you in
you're
the
good.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm used to the punch to the nuts, and then okay, I'm this inebriated and I can operate. So mead's a
Taper
little
off,
bit slower
yeah.
of a burn.
You
so
did great, man. You did great.
So,
It
but
was
other than
fun.
that, I felt that I wanted to play him kind of as a direct, open front, like no secrets, like. He sees thing, he wants to kill thing, or he sees thing, he wants to fuck thing. Like, whatever. We all know how.
With that
barbarians
being
are,
said,
but it was fun.
You did a great job, and I loved it.
It was a
And
good time.
Aaron,
It was a
you're
good
a piece
time.
of crap, and I hate you. No, I'm kidding. I love the. There was a couple of scenes, and I want to just compliment the group here. And this goes for everyone. Blau, you're tall. That's your compliment for the night. But with that being said, but with that being said, I love that moment of where Rikus was like, "I've never done this before," and there was this feeling of this really is a group that's just been thrown together, and you have no idea what the fuck you're doing. And I love low level encounters, and you all leaned into that so brilliantly. So now we get to discuss experience points, which is always a fun thing. So we are using what's called the medium XP track, and we will be tracking experience points on this adventure because I think that's kind of interesting and kind of fun. So tonight, for all of the monsters you killed and a couple of the side little quests that you took care of, you each gain 550 experience points. For brilliant and glorious role playing, I will grant everyone an additional 100 experience points.
Hey,
Is there a place we can put that on the sheet?
Yes, on
Yes.
the course page of the character sheets.
Mhm.
You should see under the core thing, there should be an XP section under the core. It should be about halfway
it should be
down.
current experience,
points.
next experience.
Your next level is 2,000 experience points. Is your next level, and you are currently at 650.
Okay. Well, I will just.
Hey.
I'll make note of that because I for the life of me, I can't see it. If it's obvious, I don't see it.
So it's on core page, right side, in the middle. It should say current experience, next level.
Right above hit
yeah.
points.
Yeah, got it.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Hey, look,
And-
first killing some bugs.
Kura, thank you so much for the compliment. Kura said the group was great. Love the group, so thank you very much for that. You will catch these fine gentlemen. I do want to ask, next Monday is the 4th of July. I will be home. I'm going to be traveling back from Pennsylvania, but I will be home, and I would be happy to run. If everyone is,
I'm
if
good.
people are busy and have things going on, we can pause. But if you guys are good to play, I would love to.
The
continue
Canadians
session
don't have
today.
a
I'm
problem
good.
with that.
I'm
good.
Canadian. Who gets the 4th of July off? So I'm
Look.
twice as good to go.
I'm American, but I'll just go to the gun range on the Saturday. I'm good to
Let's
go,
go.
my man.
USA.
Is anyone
boys.
not good for the 4th of July?
I'm
As
down
of
to
right
play.
July
now,
game.
I have all plans to be back. We're going to be leaving late morning. It's a 4-hour trip. I should be back by 4 or 5, so I'll be back in plenty of time to run. If anything transpires where it looks like I may not make it back, I will give you guys as much advance notice. But let us all plan to play Monday for Session 2 of Dragon's Demand, Part 2 of Chapter 1, and perhaps a continuing story of Fitzbottom and his adventure. And I was sitting here this afternoon, I'm going on an hour's sleep, and I was like, I should do an intro video for this. And I'm like, what if we have a side plot of this local bard that keeps getting arrested? And I don't know if it's going to go any farther than what I did today, but I have some ideas of how that story is going to transpire. So
the interesting thing is, like, he just sends me this message that's just this. Like, it's short, but like also extremely disjointed and like with no context. And he's just like, "Oh, I gotta get this great idea for the opening narration of and just like nothing."
You sent him a Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia
I
message.
did. I was like, dude, I'm making an intro video. I just had a funny idea, and I hope I have enough time to get it done. That's all I said. And he's like, okay, cool.
He's like, I'm gonna do a gag intro with
Fit bottom.
Fitbottom, and I was like, I'm not super familiar with the lore of Galarian, so I was like, is that like Pathfinder's version of Volo or something? He's like, no, it's somebody I just made up. And then I'm like, well, how would I know who Fitbottom is? Like, you say it like I'm supposed to know who that is.
That's exactly
It's
what
just
happened.
like-
I was just in my little mode. I was like, this thing's gonna happen. It's gonna be great.
He's like, he's like, no, I just made him up. And I was like, oh,
cool.
awesome, good job, man.
Look,
Love it.
I just took the helmet off. You guys have no idea how good it feels to take 20 pounds off of your fucking head, because this is not like plastic bitch chainmail. This is 100% real, like actual weight chainmail. And god damn, was that sweaty.
That's
Well,
not riveted.
gentlemen, I just want to say,
It's not riveted. Okay, you wear it as a fellow bald man.
Let me speak. No, I'm kidding. As I say at the end of all sessions, let me end the stream, and then we can bullshit for like another 20 minutes if you want. But let me end the stream. All right. So as I always say at the end of every stream, you shut up, Blow. I see your face there. And Zeb, if you say some silly ass thing about bones, I will destroy you. I gave you so many opportunities to say who would kill a man with bones, and you never took it, Zeb. There was bones in the thing, and you never said it. There were so many opportunities.
Never say never.
Demand.
Who would
Trying to be
Who
good.
would Iron Maiden a man with bones? No, it's fine. There, we did it. But
Oh,
Calgadar would Iron Maiden a man with another Iron Maiden. Like, you've been so mad he hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker. It's
But-
kind of the same thing.
with that being said, thank you everyone for playing. To the players, I do want to say thank you for playing. You guys were absolutely delightful. I wasn't sure what to expect with this, as I am at all streams, but I thought you guys did great. Matthew, thank you for joining us in this fantasy adventure. Atomic, thank you. It's the first time we've run an actual serious game with combat. Zeb, again, Blau, we play together all the time. Aaron, you're a great man and a good friend. But I just want to also say thank you to all the viewers. And as I always say at the end of every stream, happy gaming. We will catch you guys next time. Good night, everybody.